Undeterred by her companion's exhaustion, Sarah presses onward with unwavering determination. To her, every hardship is merely a stepping stone on the journey toward her dream of becoming a holy knight. An exhausted young man ponders aloud, questioning whether this grueling preparation truly serves its ultimate purpose. Sari's sister clings to the belief that perseverance will win the day. Yet her companion lingers, eyes fixed on the food, quietly questioning whether any of this truly matters. Memories of Sarah surface, gentle and caring, always close like a true sister since childhood days. United by a shared dream, the two carry on their training, determined to become holy knights and finding comfort in each other's companionship. Once the meal ends, the boy abruptly steers the conversation in a new direction. He wonders if Sarah understands what life is like for ordinary people from the 4th Division. He replies that for them, life consists of a relentless daily struggle to survive, a severity that leaves Sarah deeply unsettled. The explanation comes. At 18, everyone receives a class from the gods: warrior, mage, or farmer. Yet there is more to it. He holds the conviction that this is not a life sentence. Each person possesses the right to choose their own fate. Thoughts swirl in this boy's mind about the fate determined at birth. While warriors and mages emerge into the world brimming with strength, farmers and merchants seem destined to live out their days forever weaker. The challenge of breaking through the barriers of class feels insurmountable, until an explosion abruptly shatters his train of thought. With gentle words, Sarah attempts to lift his spirits, expressing hope that he will be assigned a powerful class, though uncertainty lingers in her voice. He tries to trust her words, but there's no time for hesitation. Sarah pulls him along to practice, her determination as unshakable as ever. Meanwhile, the city thrums with its usual bustle as markets hum and people hurry about their daily business. The uneasy peace shatters as an angry shout cuts through the crowd, signaling that something has clearly gone awry. Walking down the street, Lit takes in the festive atmosphere swirling around him. Sarah teases, suggesting he probably lost sleep from excitement. Passers-by recognize him as the Duke's son and offer warm wishes of good luck. Embarrassed, he mutters thanks, while Sarah looks on with a cheerful smile. Tension fills the hall as Lit and Sarah find themselves pressed against a restless crowd. Focused expressions and worried glances settle across every face in the room. Some lit up with excitement after receiving combat classes, while others could only sigh in disappointment at their ordinary roles. Just then, the announcement of Duke Raid Wellesley's arrival swept through the room, and at once, a tense silence settled over everyone. The Duke strides into the room, exuding authority with every step. Without a word, Sarah subtly gestures toward him for Lita, gently reminding her that this imposing figure is both her father and the revered holy knight who governs these lands. Respectful gazes fill the room. Nearby, a young man leans toward Lit, curiosity sparking in his eyes as he asks about the boy standing next to the Duke. Surprised by the inquiry, Lit admits that the boy is actually his brother, the son of a woman from the 4th Division. Due to his lineage, the Duke, bound by aristocratic pride, refuses to acknowledge his son in any official capacity. Yet Lit mentions that everything could shift if the boy were to gain a powerful class. Kaita Wellesley's name is announced, and he strides confidently up to the altar under the silent gaze of the Duke. The room falls silent as every breath is stilled. Kite places a hand on the crystal, and instantly, a radiant symbol bursts into light upon his chest. The hall immediately recognizes the symbol, a mark of the Holy Knight class. Awe and admiration ripple through the crowd as they take in this extraordinary achievement. Lit stands frozen, stunned by the sight of the burning emblem on his brother's chest. The narrator explains that the Holy Knight class emerges in only 1 out of every 10,000 people. Even heredity seldom offers such a rare opportunity, yet Kate Wellesley has been chosen. For the first time, the Duke acknowledges him as his son in front of everyone and greets him with warmth. The sudden display of affection leaves Kaita stunned, while a surge of anger quietly builds within his heart. Realizing that his father had used him to boost his own reputation, he decides to make the most of his newfound status as well. Just then, someone calls for Sarah. Nerves churn beneath her calm exterior as she steps forward toward the crystal, determined to uncover the fate that awaits her. Upon touching the crystal, a familiar symbol ignites across her chest, revealing that she too has been granted the Holy Knight class. The crowd erupted with excitement. A radiant Sarah turned to Lith, her happiness unmistakable, and announced that it was now his turn. Lith responded with determination, though a trace of tension flickered in his eyes. Sarah offers him a confident, encouraging smile. When Lith's name is called, he replies with steady resolve, "Yes." As he draws closer to the crystal, Sarah's gaze catches his. Her eyes shine with genuine hope for his success. All eyes now fix on him as the decisive moment arrives. The Duke regards Lit with a cold, appraising gaze. He quietly urges Lit not to bring him shame. Meeting these words with a solemn and steady gaze, Lit feels the weight of responsibility settle heavily upon his shoulders. Meanwhile, whispers ripple through the hall as the crowd marvels at the astonishing sight. 2 holy knights appearing on the same day, a rarity few have ever witnessed. Such extraordinary occurrences are rare, yet the fate of Lita remains shrouded in mystery. Everyone eagerly awaits the decision he will make. Certain of his destiny, Lit strides confidently toward the crystal, trusting that he too will earn the title of Holy Knight just like Kaito and Sarah. Resolute determination burns within his heart, fueling an unyielding desire to overcome all rivals. With unwavering eyes, he reaches for the crystal, hope surging through him as he prepares to claim power by his own efforts. Meanwhile, the Duke studies his every move with keen attention. Nemov carefully analyzes every movement his son makes. In that moment, Lit voices the deepest longing within his heart. Determination blazes in his eyes as the desire to become stronger fills him. The audience holds its breath, collectively witnessing the decisive moment unfold. An intense silence fills the hall while every eye remains fixed on Liet. Sarah, Kite, and the Duke himself wait, their anxious anticipation almost tangible. The crystal bursts into a dazzling radiance, prompting the high priest to glance around in astonishment. Sweat streams down Lit's face as his heart pounds, leaving him bewildered by the sudden turn of events. Something unexpected occurs as the crystal remains inert, showing no sign of life or glimmer of light. Tension fills the hall while the Duke, silent and solemn, watches his son's failure in disbelief. Driven by desperation, Lit turns to the priest and asks what is happening. Disbelief sweeps over Sarah and the others. Their eyes widen in shock, struggling to comprehend what they've heard. The Duke's expression grows tense, jaw set with worry. Slowly, the priest rises and with a solemn voice announces the verdict. Lita possesses no class. At 18, when destiny touches everyone else, even the gods turn their backs on Lita. He remains one without a class, cast aside. At the Wellesley estate, he returns burdened by failure and shadowed by shame. Summoned by the maid, he learned that his father wished to see him. A heavy tension hung in the air. Dread settled in as Lit braced himself for the worst. The Duke fixes him with a chilling gaze and declares their bond as father and son is severed. Lit stands in stunned silence, overwhelmed by the formal act of disownment. The Duke states plainly that Lit is no longer a member of the Wellesley family and is not recognized as his son. From this moment on, Kite is recognized as the eldest son. Lit has 1 hour to gather his belongings and leave the mansion. His gaze, empty and distant, lingers on the closed door. The message is unmistakable. His presence is no longer wanted here, and a wave of heartbreak settles deep within him. In silence, he accepts the betrayal and prepares to leave behind everything familiar to him. Meanwhile, Lit endures the pain of exile. In the heart of the city, celebrations swirl around Sarah. At the bustling bar, glasses are raised in her honor, toasting her ascent to the esteemed rank of Holy Knight. The father buys drinks for everyone, proudly declaring Sarah the hero of the day. Embarrassed yet genuinely delighted, Sarah basks in the warmth of their affection and recognition. While the city revels in celebration, a handful of residents turn their attention to the Duke. 2 holy knights making headlines in a single day spark fascination among the masses. At the same time, people couldn't help but feel sorry that the Duke's legitimate son had been left without a class, stripped of both purpose and recognition. In contrast, the younger brother was granted the rarest class of all, a development that only intensified the debates swirling among the townspeople. Lit casts one last glance at the Wellesley estate bathed in moonlight. Despite the pain tugging at his heart, a faint smile crosses his lips as he turns away and walks on. Meanwhile, rumors start to ripple through the city. Unsure if he truly belonged to the Duke's lineage, he wandered through the city at night. Thoughts of finding work outside his social class filled his mind. Though uncertain about what the future held, he forced himself to carry on. In the bar, someone mentions catching sight of Lit leaving town. Immediately, Sarah grows wary. Without uttering a single word, she quietly slips away from the celebration, leaving everyone puzzled by her unexpected departure. Racing through the city streets, Sarah searches desperately for him. Beyond the city limits, Lit moves alone along a deserted road. Along the road, work presents itself as he carries travelers' luggage. One of the men mocks him, asking for his name in a tone thick with ridicule. Upon hearing him state his name, the crowd falls into stunned silence, unable to believe that the son of a duke would stoop to such menial labor. With no class and not a single ability to his name, Lit quickly realizes that earning money is the key to his survival. The only option left was to carry the burden. Reluctant to give in, he pressed forward along the path, even as it wounded his pride. During a brief respite, the others toss simple food his way with barely concealed disdain. Their mocking voices suggest that a former aristocrat like him could never endure such humble fare. Exhaustion weighs heavily on Lit as he kneels to the side, silently bearing both the burden and the humiliation without surrendering. In silence, he sits, biting into an apple as his eyes quietly follow those who look down on him from afar. Memories of wielding the sword instead of hauling baggage fill his mind, stirring a sense of shame within him. Uncertainty looms over how much further he might descend. While Lit remains lost in contemplation, a soldier steps forward to warn the group about a looming danger in the forest ahead. A sudden interruption cuts through the warnings, halting the calls for caution in an instant. Bandits ambush the group. A guard shouts a warning about the attack, sending everyone scrambling into a panic as chaos erupts along the road. Panic ripples through the crowd of civilians. While the guards clash fiercely with the bandits, Lit remains frozen in uncertainty. Yet deep within, a dormant feeling begins to stir. The bandit leader strides forward with unwavering confidence, having just taken down one of the guards. Nearby, the fallen warrior's sword glints on the ground, surveying the chaos. Lit sees enemies closing in from every side, with precious seconds slipping away. The survivors, paralyzed by fear, anxiously await rescue. The guards lie lifeless, while the bandits have already begun to revel in their victory. Among the crowd, someone hesitantly asks what should be done with the civilians. The leader, without the slightest hesitation, issues a chilling command. Kill every last one of them. A wave of despair sweeps over the people, their hope extinguished in an instant. Lit snatches the sword from the ground and charges at the bandits. Shouting about years spent training with a sword, he charges forward with unwavering determination. Despite lacking true skill, he refuses to be defenseless and boldly launches into the attack. Battling valiantly, Lit faces the gang leader, who swiftly knocks him down with a brutal strike. Though he hits the ground, Lit refuses to surrender. Fully aware of his lack of special talents, he realizes that if he doesn't stand up to protect others, no one else will. Wounded yet undeterred, he pushes himself to rise once more. The bandit hurls insults, calling him a nuisance, yet Lit stands his ground. Gripping his sword tighter, he thinks to himself that if he doesn't step forward, no one will. Along the roadside, a little girl turned to her father and inquired about the meaning of the word class. He explains that this power, bestowed by the gods at the age of 18, shapes the direction of a person's future. The girl listens in silence while exhaustion drapes over Lit, leaving him drained. Gripping the sword tightly, a breath escapes as a quiet question rises. Could that man truly be the legendary swordmaster? From a distance, the bandit leader lets out a scornful laugh, eyes fixed on the scene with mocking indifference. Lit charges headfirst into battle, meeting the enemy without hesitation. The bandit unleashes his warrior skill, and his strike crashes down with overwhelming power. The sword of summer begins to crack, terror seizing him as his weapon falters in the midst of battle. A powerful blow sends him soaring into the air. Stunned, he struggles to remain conscious, hanging on by a thread. With a heavy crash, Lit sprawls motionless on the ground. Shouts ring out from the civilians, their faces twisted in fear as they call out his name. The bandit leader lands another swift kick, sending Lit soaring through the air before he crashes to the ground, pain etched across his face. The bandit acknowledged with surprise that he had underestimated the boy. Even without a class, the youngster possessed more strength than he appeared to have. Flat on the ground, Lit senses the enemy drawing near. Thoughts race through his mind, and he wonders if this is where his journey ends. The unfolding events take place before a crowd of onlookers. Defeat looms, seeming all but certain. The bandit readies himself to deliver a fatal blow, convinced that this game has already reached its end for him. Despair fills Sarah's gaze as she watches. Suddenly, Lit launches a swift counterattack, striking the enemy with unexpected force. The bandit jeers, boasting that even with his eyes closed, he could have dodged a blow like that. Suddenly, a precise blow lands squarely on his torso. The unexpected attack leaves him stunned. With a slight smile, Lit remarks that there's nothing extraordinary about those skills. Wounded yet unbowed, determination still flickers in his eyes. A cry of pain and fury bursts from the depths of the heart. Despair settles over him as he wonders why he remains so powerless. His gaze lingers motionless in the emptiness. Suddenly, a strange voice echoes in his mind, cutting through the shadows of his troubled thoughts. A woman's voice resounded, announcing that Lit had just acquired the skill, Physical Body Enhancement. Another message appears right after, Blade Enhancement. Shock washes over Lit as a strange sensation ripples through his body. The bandit lunges forward, confidence gleaming in his eyes, certain that victory is within his grasp. But Lit firmly blocks the blow. The enemy reels in astonishment. The boy who moments ago appeared defenseless now matches his sword with confidence. Seizing the opportunity, Lit delivers a swift and precise strike to his opponent's neck. The bandit collapses to the ground, leaving the others stunned as the whole situation suddenly takes an unexpected turn. One of the thugs lunges at him with a shout, but Lit stands poised, fully prepared for battle. Dodging swiftly, he tightens his grip on the sword. Composed and precise, Lit defeats another enemy with a decisive blow. Gasping for breath and drenched in sweat, he surveys the bodies scattered around him. Despite his exhaustion, a sense of vigilance keeps him alert. As the battle draws to a close, Lit turns around and notices the young girl he saved running toward him. With tears shimmering in her eyes, she rushes toward him and wraps him in a grateful embrace, overwhelmed with relief that he is alive. Tears shimmer in the eyes of the survivors as they express their gratitude to Lit, knowing his intervention spared them all from certain death. Lit admits with surprise that his class is not meant for combat, and this revelation leaves those around him even more astonished. He finds himself quietly wondering how he managed to claim victory at all. Memories of the battle flicker in his mind, a sensation as if something deep within had awakened, accompanied by the echo of a goddess's voice announcing a new skill. Yet the true nature of what transpired remains beyond his understanding. Amidst the chaos, a sense of relief washes over him, knowing he managed to save the others. One of the survivors steps forward and approaches him. With sincere gratitude, he offers assistance, whether it be financial support or opportunities to connect with influential individuals. Lit gazes in silence, stunned by such overwhelming generosity. Accepting the offer, she explains that there is something important she needs to uncover and asks for assistance. The following day brings a change of scenery. Setting out in search of answers, he now moves forward, relying on the promised support. Early in the morning, Father Augustine immerses himself in his writing, his pen tracing thoughts onto the page. Just then, his assistant steps in with news. A request arrived from a young man hoping to observe the class. Without even glancing up, Augustine instructed to turn him away. The assistant insists, pointing out that the guest carries a letter from an old friend who serves as a priest. With growing curiosity, Augustine reads the letter. As his eyes reach the end, his expression shifts abruptly. The message has struck a deep chord within him. Lit discovers that the merchant he saved turns out to be an old friend of the Archbishop himself. The realization that a simple act of kindness had linked him to someone so powerful seemed almost unbelievable. Archbishop Augustine of the kingdom found himself amazed that Lit had managed to survive such a vicious assault. The merchant, in turn, found himself astonished to discover that his friend held such significance. Silently, Lit observed the scene, overcome with a deep sense of respect. Augustine turned to Leto and stated that he had been classified as classless. Leto confirmed this and requested another evaluation. Despite the usual restrictions, the Archbishop gives his consent, swayed by the influence of an old and trusted friend. Without hesitation, he commences the ritual. Leto receives a caution not to expect any miracles, as the crystal has never made a mistake before. Lit brushes his hand against the sphere, and the outcome emerges, revealing his class, still empty. Everyone assumes nothing has changed, until one of the assistants notices something unusual. Crystal reveals two rare abilities: physical enhancement and blade enhancement. The Archbishop stares in disbelief, stunned that Lit, who is not a swordsman, possesses such techniques. Bewilderment filled him, unable to grasp how anyone could possess such remarkable skills without years of dedicated practice. Explanation follows. These techniques are reserved exclusively for warriors. Farmers and merchants have no access to them. Yet Lit possesses them despite lacking a class, a fact that defies all expectations. The Archbishop stands astonished as the young man, unbound by any formal rank, displays the refined skills of a true swordmaster. When asked about the source of this power, he admits with complete honesty that he has no idea. Suddenly, a memory stirs within, prompting a brief pause. Leto receives a command to follow closely behind. Astonishment fills Lit as he trails after the Archbishop into a secret and shadowy place, the archival chambers. Amid the silent aisles of the archive, the Archbishop leads Leto through rows of ancient tomes. While exploring the time-worn volumes, he uncovers a discovery that piques his interest. A figure from the past emerges in the story. Someone who, like the protagonist, once walked through life without a class. Yet the records reveal a hidden ability within her. This discovery sparks a glimmer of hope in Lit's heart. The Archbishop reveals a crucial truth: that classless individual possessed an extraordinary talent, the ability to mimic an opponent's skills. If Rita wields this same power, everything falls into place. Lit pauses, lost in contemplation, weighing the possibility. A sense hangs in the air that he is moments away from revealing something important. The Archbishop nods in agreement, confirming their suspicions. Only after striking the bandit did Lit acquire his combat skills. This further confirms that his power activates precisely at the moment of contact. Embracing this truth, he declares with conviction that this is indeed his true ability. The Archbishop notes that although everything appears genuine, complete clarity is still missing. He advises him to uncover the remaining truths on his own. Lit steps outside with a sense of satisfaction. Even though there are few answers, the knowledge that someone else has experienced the same struggles brings him a quiet peace. Each step carries him through the city, driven by a clear and unwavering purpose. A newfound power stirs within him, and curiosity beckons him forward. Though the path ahead remains shrouded in uncertainty, Lit sets out with a smile, determined to discover a journey uniquely his own. Eyes fixed on the fortress, he declares his intent to become a knight. This vow marks the first milestone on his journey to discovering his true strength. Upon reaching the registration desk, he hands over his documents and receives a confirmation in return. His name now appears on the official roster for the knight's trial, marking the imminent beginning of a new journey. News arrives that the exam will take place the day after tomorrow, along with a request to bring the registration form. He responds with a smile and expresses his thanks. Strolling through this city, Lit savors the local cuisine, relishing every moment. The city's energy captivates him, its vibrance pulsing through every movement and gesture. Observing the vibrant activity all around, the truth of the imperial cow's grandeur becomes evident. Glancing around, the sight of many powerful individuals becomes apparent. Though the pressure mounts, resolve remains unshaken. Determined to train for the upcoming exam, he suddenly notices something unusual. Down the street, an exhausted girl runs by, clearly searching for someone. Tears glisten in her eyes as a smile of relief touches her lips. She calls out his name, Lit, her voice trembling with a blend of joy and desperation, the weight of her emotions finally breaking free. At last, she has found him. Lit recognizes the girl as Sarah. Surprise flashes across his face, quickly giving way to growing concern. He steps back, wary and uncertain, while she advances with a grave and determined gaze. An unmistakable sense of something significant looming in the air grows ever stronger. Sarah races toward him without hesitation and, caught off guard by a fierce embrace, Lit nearly loses his balance. His cheeks flush with confusion, unable to make sense of the situation. Dropping to her knees, Sarah feels tears streaming down her cheeks. She confesses her desperation, admitting that fear gripped her at the thought of losing him forever. Lit remains silent, struck speechless by her words. Despite the tears streaming down her face, her words unmistakably reveal that her only concern throughout all this time has been for him. Sarah admits that she believed he had taken his own life. Lit lowers his head in genuine remorse and offers a heartfelt apology, easing the tension between them. Lying on the ground with Sarah on top of him, a gentle smile appears on his face as he suggests, "Maybe we should get up first." All around them, people have paused in surprise, their curious eyes fixed on the pair, while a deep blush creeps up to Sarah's ears. With his head bowed low, Lit offers a heartfelt apology to Sarah. Quietly slipping out of the house, he set off to work as a loader, hoping to earn some much-needed money. While going about his work, a group of bandits ambushed him. Arms folded across her chest, Sarah listens intently, a spark of irritation in her eyes, yet relief flickers across her face. Grateful for his safety, Lit admits that his new abilities emerged only after the battle. Shock and fascination dance in her eyes as the news unfolds, shifting her entire world in an instant. Sarah inquired if Lit planned to take part in the knight's exam. With unwavering confidence, Lit assured her that he would. Drawing closer, Sarah fixed her gaze on him, studying his expression intently. With a quiet, "Hey," the intention to share something important becomes clear. Stopping before a pile of stones, she catches Lita off guard with her sudden action. Offering to showcase his skills, confusion swept over him. He could not grasp the reason behind such a request. Sarah challenges him to split a massive stone, her eyes still clouded with doubt about his abilities. Lit readies himself, grasps his sword with determination, and strikes with precision. With a focused breath, physics enhancement ignites, channeling raw power into his sword. Astonishment flashes across Sarah's face as recognition dawns. She realizes he has truly mastered the technique. Lit channels the power of blade enhancement and unleashes a full-force attack. Fascinated, Sarah watches as his strike crashes against the rock. A fragment of the stone splits apart beneath the force of his strike. Amazed, Sarah observes that with such strength, passing the exam would be effortless for him. Still, she reminds him that the true techniques of the Holy Knight remain unseen. By stepping forward to display her true strength, she leaves everyone around her utterly astonished. The ground begins to quiver as a surge of powerful energy gathers all around. Among the onlookers, one witness follows her every move in terror, unable to accept the reality unfolding before his eyes. Stunned, he nods in acknowledgement. This truly is a skill belonging to a holy knight. Without a word, Sarah unveils the formidable power of her class. Once more, Lit's actions affirmed his growth. Only after striking the bandit did he truly gain new skills. Curiosity shining in her eyes, Sarah asks him to hold out his hand. Lit, though uncertain of the reason, chooses to obey. As his fingers brush against her palm, a quiet electricity stirs between them. Suddenly, two new abilities appear for Lit: Heavenly Enhancement and Heavenly Blade. Bewilderment washes over Lit, unable to comprehend how this happened. Acknowledging the surge of newfound strength, he pauses to ask if Sarah truly feels certain about her choice. A gentle smile plays on her lips as she explains that sharing her power has not diminished it in the slightest. Lit expresses heartfelt gratitude. Sarah trusts these skills will serve him well. With a playful wink and a promise to wait at the order of the night, she sends him off, her faith in him unwavering. A crowd of aspiring candidates gathered in the capital, all eager to take the examination and earn the title of knight. The large turnout draws notice, though for the organizers, this has long become a familiar sight. Officer Roger scans the crowd with a critical eye, his expression betraying his doubts. None of the gathered faces strike him as promising. Doubt lingered in Roger's mind as he considered whether these candidates truly possessed the potential to become knights. The subordinate found such remarks unsettling and politely asked the commander to show more restraint. The narration reveals that the title of knight holds one of the most esteemed ranks in the entire kingdom. Only a select few from the combat classes ever earn this title. The exam remains notoriously difficult. Meanwhile, steady footsteps echo as the candidates gather for the upcoming trial. The sudden arrival of the newcomer draws attention from all around. Some faces shine with curiosity, while others regard the stranger with wary suspicion. Tension fills the air as everyone lines up, each person waiting in silent anticipation for the evaluation to begin. Officer Roger introduces himself as the examiner and immediately warns that only true warriors will make it through. The reasons for coming, be it fame, fortune, or power, held no significance for him. Only one thing mattered: skill. Roger announces that anyone who completes the trial will earn the 9th rank, a status on par with that of a baron. This is only the beginning. Through relentless effort and hard-won victories, one can ascend to the highest ranks of the aristocracy. Everything hinges on strength. A fist rises in determination. Cheers of elation erupt among the candidates while, within the crowd, one man watches with a sinister smile. Roger formally announces the commencement of the exam. As roll call continued, Edward's name was announced, revealing he belonged to the knight class. The announcer called out Lita Wellesley's name next. A wave of surprise rippled through the crowd, as her class designation was missing from the roster. Roger makes a mistake and inquires about the absence of the data. Approaching with confidence, Lit carefully checks the documents and affirms that everything has been filled out correctly. The explanation comes: he received his prophecy, yet no class was assigned to him. Shock ripples through the crowd. The announcement stirred a wave of shock. A candidate with no noble ties at the knighthood exam was utterly unheard of. Lit calmly affirms everything, stirring unease among the examiners. One of them wonders aloud how he ever planned to pass the trials without any combat skills. Becoming a knight demands mastery of offensive skills, much like those possessed by mages and swordsmen. To surpass them in strength, Lita faced doubt from others who questioned his choices the moment they noticed he had no class. Most believe he will escape with nothing more than a wound. Lit answers with a confident smile, certain of his fighting skills, and reassures that everything will turn out fine. His casual confidence manages to astonish both the examiners and the other candidates alike. One of the judges, intrigued, allows him to give it a try, even though he lacks any formal training. Roger agrees reluctantly, calling out to Lit. Moving forward with confident strides, Lit approaches while the examiner observes with a curious smile. Young aristocrat Logan Bentley mocks the exam, remarking with a smirk that even commoners are now allowed to participate. The arrogant remark sparks a wave of indignation. Nearby, an officer quietly offers an explanation. Logan descends from noble blood. All the while, the judge observes in silence. Logan shoots a scornful glance at Lita, dismissing him with, "A weakling without class will never become a knight." Logan belittles Lit in front of everyone, commanding him to remember his place. Lit remains silent, but the pain in his eyes reveals how deeply the words have struck. Logan continues his taunts, mocking him with the nickname Mr. Failure. Lit remains unfazed, keeping his composure and paying no attention to the provocation. Lit simply checks with the examiner to see if he can continue. Receiving permission, he turns to Logan with an icy tone and says, "I have no room in my mind for anything unnecessary." Blinded by rage, Logan loses all restraint, charging forward with his sword and hurling insults, calling Liet a classless worm. Unfazed, Liet meets his fury head-on, calmly accepting the challenge without a trace of fear. At the critical moment, Roger intervenes, calmly and decisively halting Logan's sword with his own. With a stern gaze, he halts the attack in its tracks, emphasizing that the exam has not yet begun and that reckless actions carry consequences. With effortless grace, Roger holds back the blade using just one hand, showcasing his complete mastery. The crowd looks on in awe as the examiner approaches, jotting down notes. Carefully, he prepares a small box, likely for the next phase of the test. Logan retreats with a strained smile, quietly offering an apology. Roger commands everyone to return to their positions. Logan, casting a sinister look at Liet, addresses him by name, causing the tension in the room to mount. With a bold grin spreading across his face, Logan admits that he can hardly wait for the fight to begin. Tension thickens in the air. Roger cracks a joke, suggesting that Liet has found himself a new companion. One officer stares in confusion, uncertain how to respond to the remark. As Roger watched the candidates, he quietly admitted to himself that this year's exam promised to be interesting. Logan's talent is undeniable, yet arrogance often overshadows his abilities. Doubt lingers in Roger's mind about whether Logan possesses the qualities to become a true knight. His gaze shifts thoughtfully toward Liet. The absence of a class didn't stop him from inflicting damage with his use of physical enhancement. Roger watched, clearly impressed, and began to regard him with newfound respect. Roger reconsiders his initial judgment and admits that this time, the candidates truly possess remarkable potential. The focus lingers on Lita, Sarah, Logan, and several others. The group gathers in the courtyard, ready for the next phase of training. The instructor carefully checks to make sure everyone is present and accounted for. Once satisfied that everyone was present, the announcement of an important trial marked the beginning of the next challenge. This will be a simulation of an actual battle. Participants will be judged based on their actions during the battle. The instructor stresses that despite the gravity of the situation, this isn't a fight to the death. Everyone receives enchanted rings that conjure a protective barrier to shield them from harm. The goal is to strike your opponent and break through their defense. Success means victory. Once the instructions are clear, the examiner begins the test. The first round of Block A begins. Lita Wellesley steps forward, taking his stance with resolute determination. Soon, his opponent will be announced. The start came with unexpected speed. As the name of his opponent echoed through the arena, surprise spread among the crowd. Logan Bentley stands as the confident candidate, earning the steadfast support of his peers. One of the group mocks Liet, calling him a freeloader. Liet remains silent, his focus fixed intently on his opponent. Before the fight, the instructor carefully inspects whether both participants have fastened their protective rings. With a sarcastic mumble, Logan remarks that the battle will be fair. With a sigh, the remark comes, "What a pity for you." Yet Liet only responds with a silent, steady gaze, his calm demeanor unwavering. Logan strides forward with an air of confidence, teasing Liet about the situation that brought them face to face. The instructor raises a hand, signaling the official start of the match. Logan makes the first move, his lips curled into a confident smile as he summons a blazing spear. The crowd stares in awe. He's a mage. Liet, meanwhile, watches the scene unfold with unshakable calm. The Bentley family comes to mind, renowned magicians celebrated for their long-standing reputation. Logan casts another spell with unwavering confidence, while Liet watches him intently, eyes never leaving his every move. The strike lands precisely where intended. Logan lets out a mocking laugh, his amusement clear. Even the instructor raises an eyebrow, taken aback by the sheer speed of Logan's magic. Suddenly his magic falters and dissipates into the air. Confusion washes over Logan. Calm and composed, Liet effortlessly dispels the spell, leaving everyone around him astonished by his skill. The audience held their breath as Liet strode forward, unwavering, straight through the blazing fire. Channeling the technique known as heavenly empowerment, he moves with extraordinary speed and force, leaving a striking impression. A surge of strength courses through him as heightened reflexes and magical energy awaken within, leaving him genuinely astonished by his own transformation. Now, effortlessly warding off even the swiftest spells, he displays a skill that once felt beyond his reach. The crowd stands frozen in shock as Liet cleaves the flaming spear in two, a feat everyone believed impossible. Even the instructor finds himself taken aback by the sight. Surprise flickers across Logan's face, yet a smile breaks through as he acknowledges the skill of his opponent. With irritation sharpening his tone, he adds that he can't fathom how a boy without pedigree possesses such skills. Still, he brazenly insists that defeat is never an option for him. Mastery of advanced techniques becomes evident as Lit calmly faces the provocation. Logan declares himself a genius and mocks Liet once more for his supposed incompetence. Unfazed, Liet remains calm and unbothered. A sudden spark flashes across Logan's face as a fresh idea takes root in his mind. An enormous assault takes shape as the sky fills with dozens of blazing spears. Admits that while Lit managed to block the first spell, now the real challenge is stopping this one. Unleashing his technique, line of flaming spears, the battlefield erupts as waves of searing power surge across the ground. Brimming with confidence, Logan declares the fight over right as the referee hesitates. Lit surges forward, unleashing the Heavenly Blade technique. The blow carries such ferocity that, had it landed, not even Logan's protective ring could have saved him. Logan tries to fight back, yet a devastating blow shatters his resistance completely. The energy of the Heavenly Blade slices through everything in its path, striking the arena wall. Logan sits on the ground, stunned and unable to move. Lit stands before him, unwavering, gripping a sword with steady hands. The technique was unmistakable. Sky Blade, a signature skill reserved solely for the Holy Knights. Yet how could this be? The sight of someone without a class wielding holy power defied all logic. Panic washed over Logan as the realization struck him. His magic had faded away. Confusion mingled with anger, leaving him unsettled and frustrated. A furious shout bursts forth, questioning how someone as insignificant as Lit could possibly wield sacred powers. Meanwhile, Lit silently fixes his gaze on his opponent, remaining in full control. Logan shouts, unwilling to let him believe he holds any advantage. Summoning the last remnants of his magical energy, Logan prepares for a final strike. The tension in the air rises steadily. Logan unleashes his ultimate move, Dragon's Breath, conjuring a surge of mystical energy shaped like a furious dragon hurtling straight toward Light. Eyes wide open, he throws everything he has into this desperate assault. Machinery triggers a devastating explosion, sending waves of terror through the crowd. The shockwave surges toward the stands, prompting the instructor to swiftly cast a protective spell to shield the crowd. A weary laugh escapes Logan as he declares victory, certain his strength has settled the outcome of the battle. The instructor, his voice edged with concern, points out that Logan holds nothing back, and that this attack could easily have proved fatal. Suddenly, a firm voice cuts through the air and states, "Victory is not yours yet." Emerging unscathed from the swirling smoke, Lit strides forward with unwavering confidence. Panic flares in Logan's eyes as he hurls a barrage of blazing spears in desperation. He shouts in disbelief, yet nothing can halt Lita now. With a mighty blow, his attack shatters Logan's defenses, the ground beneath them cracking from the sheer force. Logan's protective ring cracks under the mounting pressure, unable to withstand the strain. The force of the blow proves so immense that the arena floor bursts apart. Shards scatter in all directions as the spectators shield their faces, stunned by the sheer scale of the destruction. Among the scattered wreckage, Logan remains unconscious. The judge raises a hand to declare Lit Wellesley the winner. A heavy silence settles over the field. Deep within the forest, a woman clutching her child cries out in desperation, her pleas for help echoing through the trees. A colossal bear-like monster loomed ever closer, its massive shadow swallowing the light around them. Danger pressed in from all sides, and not a single thing stood between them and the creature's fury. Suddenly, a young warrior steps forward, placing herself between the monster and its intended victims, poised for battle. A woman stands with her child, both gazing at her with hope and wonder sparkling in their eyes. Once the rescue was complete, the knight inquired whether anyone had sustained injuries. The astonished boy offers his thanks and, with newfound confidence, asks if she is a knight. Inspired by the heroic deed, the boy eagerly announces his desire to become a knight as well. A gentle smile spreads across her face as she says, "I am certain you will make a wonderful knight." Turning to little Lith, her gaze softens. "And you too will grow into a great knight one day." Lita is officially declared the victor, moving forward with calm composure while those around him watch in stunned silence. Rumors swept through the crowd as people whispered about the heir of the powerful family, defeated in mere moments. For many witnesses, it was their first time seeing the legendary technique, Heavenly Blade. Silent and contemplative, Lit moves forward, sensing a change within himself. New powers have awakened. Logan's abilities now reside in him. The Flaming Spear, Spear Mode, and Dragon's Breath. All of these emerged at the very moment of impact. Amid the confusion, acceptance settles over him as he realizes he now possesses the enemy's powers. Curiosity urges him to inquire about Logan's condition. Relieved, he notices the other has escaped any serious injury. Lit admits he misjudged his own strength since this was his first attempt at using the Holy Knight technique. The instructor fixes him with a grave stare. clearly intent on sharing something important. The next match is about to be announced, fueled by the promise of Lita's untapped potential. Suddenly, Logan springs to his feet, fury blazing in his eyes, and accuses Lita of cheating, right in the middle of the ceremony. Logan, brimming with fury, demands the match be annulled. He refuses to accept defeat and hurls accusations of cheating at Lita. According to him, the man concealed his true class and is, in fact, a holy knight disguised as a classless person. Such actions, they insisted, violated the rules and brought disgrace upon the honor of the trial. Logan pressed on with his accusations, his voice unwavering as he tried to sway the crowd. In his eyes, Lit's victory only happened because he had secretly received help from the real holy knight. This is how he accounts for his exceptionally powerful techniques, dismissing them as mere trickery to circumvent the exam. Demanding Light's disqualification, he shouts accusations of cheating. Gradually, some began to accept the impossible. A classless individual had managed to unleash the technique of a holy knight. Logan's words might be exaggerated, yet uncertainty quietly spreads among the candidates. One of the judges suggests postponing the decision about the outcome of the match. Hope flickers in Logan's eyes as he awaits retribution for Liet. Suddenly, a firm and commanding voice rings out, declaring, "That isn't necessary." Suddenly, a majestic figure halts everyone in their tracks. Princess Iris steps into view, her arrival stunning everyone in the room. Her commanding tone leaves no doubt. She is here to resolve the matter without delay. Everyone in attendance bows their heads in deep respect to Princess Iris. The truth emerged. She was revealed to be the first princess of the Lawrence Empire. An overwhelming shock swept over Lit, who struggled to grasp why someone of such significance would be present in this place. With a confident smile, she strides directly toward him. Princess Iris steps forward, calmly insisting that there has been no deception, and she reinforces her statement with steady conviction. It turned out that Lita truly had no official class registration, yet the abilities known as Heavenly Enhancement and Heavenly Blade truly belonged to him. The crowd stood in awe, unable to hide their astonishment. Iris points an unwavering finger at the true culprit, Logan Bentley, accusing him of betraying the very essence of chivalry. Logan fidgets, feigning confusion and insisting ignorance about the topic at hand. Yet Iris's response is calm and unwavering. Evidence in hand, she calls forth the young woman who witnessed everything. Soon, the truth will come to light. The witness recounts that, during the battle, several individuals employed enhancement magic to assist Logan. Iris confirms the truth of this statement. She insisted no one could trick her, her sharp instincts always able to sense outside influences, and her watchful eyes missed nothing. Evidence in hand, she uncovers Logan's crime and exposes the scheme he and his accomplices used to swindle others through magic. Issues an order to have everyone arrested. Logan stammers out a defense, but no one pays him any attention. The guards seize him firmly and drag him away. Iris brings the case to a close, her words firm and unwavering, making the conclusion final and unmistakable. Everyone stands stunned by the force of her resolve. Watching her, Lit finds himself reminded of a gathering storm. Breaking the silence, she calls for everyone to rise, reclaiming control over the ceremony and guiding it back on course. The princess steps closer to Light and directly asks for his name. Taken aback, he responds with genuine respect. A heavy silence settles over the group, the air thick with anticipation as a new sense of recognition begins to emerge. Iris fixes her gaze intently on Lita, her eyes sharp and full of scrutiny. The weight of her serious assessment stirs unease within him. After a brief pause, she announces with quiet confidence that she has already decided what to do with him. A confident smile graces the princess's lips as she declares her will. Lit receives news of his appointment to the royal guard and stands in stunned disbelief, struggling to comprehend how fate has led him into such a role. The following day, he offers a warm greeting to the village woman. A chance brush against her hand awakened a newfound skill for cooking within him. A gentle smile spreads across her face as she offers him heartfelt wishes for success in his endeavor. With his newfound ability to replicate talents, villagers gradually seek him out, eager for his assistance. Eventually, Iris personally escorts Lit to the imperial throne, right in front of the emperor. With great solemnity, Richard III introduces the newest member of the royal guard, the one who has been chosen. Lit stands frozen in disbelief, finding himself face to face with the king. Surrounded by nobles and onlookers, he strives to maintain his composure. While his heart churns with anxiety, he wonders how fate led him to such a grand moment. With unwavering conviction, Iris makes the announcement. Lit is to join the royal guard. A stunned silence fills the room as shock washes over everyone. One of the examiners tries to voice an objection, struggling to regain his composure. Word spreads quickly. Never before has a newcomer been admitted straight into the guard. Nevertheless, Iris stands her ground, insisting that she should be allowed to bring him along. The examiner explains that a strict hierarchy exists among knights. Anyone taking the test begins at the 9th rank. The knight leading all others holds the highest rank, standing above the rest. Leto's appointment disrupts this established hierarchy. Iris listens intently, absorbing every word. The judge remarks that only knights of the 7th rank are eligible to join the royal guard. The princess calmly counters, stating that nothing prevents someone from being granted the 7th rank instantly. No further objections arise. Iris firmly orders Leta's immediate transfer to the private sector. Everyone stands in awe of her commanding presence. Lit clasps Iris's hand in a firm grip, vowing not to let her down now that he is part of the royal guard. A warm smile spreads across Iris's face, her trust in him unmistakable. She then mentions her wish to introduce him to someone special. Lit immediately agrees, signaling readiness to move forward with the next step. The king fixes him with a stern gaze, and unease visibly washes over the boy. Iris strives to sway her father's opinion, reminding him of Lith's remarkable triumph in the duel. The king turns his attention to Leta, addressing her directly. The appointment to the guard stands out as unusual, he observes. A hint lingers in the air, suggesting the daughter's interest has clearly gone beyond the ordinary. Lit responds politely, though a faint blush reveals his embarrassment and unease. In that moment, Iris astonishes everyone by making an official announcement. She chooses Let as her future husband. Stunned into silence, Lit stands motionless, the princess's declaration leaving him utterly speechless. Lit exclaims in astonishment, struggling to grasp the reality unfolding before him. Meanwhile, the king remains silent, a faint smile playing on his lips. The princess wears a gentle smile while confusion ripples through the crowd, her unexpected announcement sending shockwaves across the hall. The king approaches, observing that his daughter seems to hold a special affection for Lit. Relieved, Lit realizes the king harbors no anger. At last, Lit allows herself to unwind, and the king extends his hand toward her. A handshake seals their acceptance of one another, yet only moments later, a menacing aura radiates from the king, casting a suffocating tension over everyone nearby. Terror freezes Lit, convinced that his end has come. The king's gaze remains stern as he declares that true courage is required to compete for his daughter's hand. The king inspires fear because of his legendary strength. Rumors tell of him single-handedly wiping out an enemy encampment, managed to slay the dragon with a single decisive blow. The weight of his reputation grows heavier with each passing moment. Lit stands frozen, acutely aware of the gaze fixed on him by the very king who once brought ruin to dragons. Despite the looming danger, the king continues to hold Leta's hand. A faint smile plays on lips set in a serious expression, sharply contrasting with the imagined presence of a sword hanging overhead. Tension lingers, reaching all the way to the fingertips. After displaying his power, the king steps back and suddenly begins to laugh, offering praise to Lit for his resilience. Relief washes over Lit as he realizes he is safe. Iris observes the scene with keen interest. Still smiling, the king turns his attention to his daughter. With a solemn tone, he declares that talent outweighs lineage, acknowledging the unique value that Leta possesses. A promise hangs in the air to reward him with the title of Duke, or perhaps even welcome him into the family as a son-in-law should his remarkable feats continue. Iris finds herself deeply moved, while Lit stands stunned, unable to fully grasp the turn of events. An unexpected embrace comes from the king himself. Lit praises the king for his kindness, and Iris agrees with a bright smile. The king makes a light-hearted remark, suggesting they would make a perfect couple. Iris blushes, uncertain how she should respond to his words. The next time Lit calls her princess, she immediately corrects him. He is to call her simply Iris. That's an order. Later, Lit inquires about their next destination, addressing her by name. Iris reacts with surprise at his sudden initiative. A sudden smile brightens her face as she admits she still hasn't revealed their destination. The reply leaves Leta brimming with even more questions. Meanwhile, during training, the masked warrior deftly intercepts his opponent's strike with unwavering confidence. Facing him, another fighter moves with remarkable speed and determination. With a swift leap, he aims for a precise strike, promising a fierce and relentless duel. The young warrior claims victory over his opponent with a precise acrobatic strike. At that moment, Iris guides Light down an elegant corridor, quietly informing him that he is about to be introduced to the royal guard. In addition, Lit is assigned to serve directly under her command. As Lit approaches the doors of the guard's hall, a memory stirs within him, something that feels incredibly important. A swordsman with a stern expression suddenly steps forward. With his blade drawn, he issues a firm warning. The swordsman moves to engage, but his opponent swiftly takes him down. Observers watch the outcome unfold in silence. One of the guards observes that among the royal protectors, there stands someone whose abilities far surpass the typical standard. After toppling his opponent, the swordsman pins him to the ground and demands to know who sent him to kill. From the sidelines, Lit watches with wide-eyed astonishment, unable to make sense of the unfolding events. During this time, he formally introduces himself to the king as the newest knight of the royal guard, while Iris confidently declares her decision to choose him as her future husband. With a pause, the king speaks in a tone that teeters between jest and menace, declaring that Litu's days are numbered. Bewilderment washes over Litu, leaving him utterly at a loss. With a dignified air, Iris announces Lita's induction as the newest member of the royal guard before the assembled audience. One of the guards steps forward and, with a cautious tone, requests permission to speak, hinting that what he is about to say carries significant weight. Lit greets everyone with polite composure, expressing his pleasure at being present. The guards remain silent, yet one steps forward, signaling his earnest intentions. A palace guard approaches Lita. Larg, the duke's heir, introduced himself and inquired about Lit's lineage, clearly hoping for a noble background. Lit calmly replied that he was just an ordinary commoner. Larg launches his provocation, questioning how a commoner could ever rise to the rank of royal knight. With a sarcastic smile, he inquires about the knightly order from which this upstart hails. Iris silently observes as the tension in the room steadily mounts. The revelation comes. Lit received his knighthood only today, leaving those present quietly stunned. The words strike a nerve in Larg, who immediately strides forward, tension etched across his face, while Lit and Iris stand ready for anything. Preparations for defense unfold swiftly as tension in the air grows thicker by the moment. Upon hearing that Lita had been instantly promoted to the 7th rank, a flicker of suspicion entered Larg's eyes. Lit had foreseen this, fully aware that others would have their doubts as well. Outrage flared in Larg as he denounced the promotion as utterly absurd. With a surge of anger, he demands to know who authorized such a decision, capturing the attention of everyone in the room. With a proud gaze, Iris declares that the decision was hers to approve. When questioned, she boldly challenges Larg, hinting that he underestimates Lita's abilities. The tension intensifies as Larg swallows nervously. Iris suggests a quick duel as a way to prove Lita's skill. Larg immediately agrees, eager to put the newcomer's strength to the test. The challenge catches Lit completely off guard, leaving him stunned. A member of the guard steps forward, attempting to halt Larg, and accuses him of showing disrespect toward the princess. Captain Ertz steps in, putting an abrupt end to the duel between Lit and Larg. A reminder hangs in the air that Larg still bears his wounds and has not yet recovered. Undeterred by objections, Ertz stands firm in his resolve and suggests an alternative method to test Light. Now, Lit prepares himself for a duel against Captain Ertz, who has personally taken on the task of testing his strength. The two face each other, their expressions serious and their focus unwavering. Whispers ripple through the crowd, tales of Captain Ertz's extraordinary strength passing from one person to the next. Among the entire royal guard, his reputation stands tall as one of the most formidable. Iris calmly declares her faith in Liet, placing her trust in his abilities as a holy knight, even when facing such a formidable foe. Captain Ertz sets out the rules for the duel. No martial arts allowed, only swords in close combat. However, if both contestants agree, they may activate their protective rings. The duel begins in earnest as Lit launches the first assault, delivering a powerful blow. Soon enough, he realizes that Ertz is far stronger than he first appeared. Without retreating, Lit shifts tactics and begins probing the opponent's defenses. Circling around Ertz, he delivers a flurry of quick, well-aimed strikes. Trading blows with the captain, Lit senses the man's formidable strength. Each movement grows heavier, yet his resolve pushes him onward. Ertz marvels at Lita's endurance, quietly acknowledging his strength in the midst of their battle. Among the audience, admiration for Lita's talent quietly grows. Even Larg, despite his reluctance, acknowledges Lita's remarkable abilities. Iris remains silent, her gaze fixed, clearly moved by what she witnesses. Feeling the weight of mounting pressure, Ertz launches into a relentless assault, unleashing his full strength in a determined offensive. The blade barely withstands the powerful strike, revealing the captain's true strength for the first time. Awe fills him as he faces overwhelming destructive power. A powerful punch from Ertz sends Lit sprawling toward the upper balustrade, the force smashing part of the structure and leaving the audience stunned. Despite the force of the throw, Lit quickly regains his footing. Admitting defeat, he confesses that he failed to defend himself. Without hesitation, a swift change in stance signals determination, and with a resolute gaze, he leaps toward his foe, shifting instantly into an aggressive assault. With her sword at the ready, Lit charges downward, determined to turn the tide of battle. Catching onto her plan, Erk calls out, making it clear that he too will fight without holding back. Both contestants prepared to give everything they had in this decisive showdown. Everyone is taken aback as something mysterious descends from the sky. In an instant, the entire scene shifts dramatically. In another part of the scene, a young man kneels with his gaze fixed on the ground. A broken tree limb crashes down nearby, missing him by mere inches. Behind him, the night watchman looms in silence, his quiet presence heightening the tension. Meanwhile, the protagonist surges forward with a shout, charging into the action. The attack comes from above, yet the enemy remains calm, patiently waiting for the opportune moment to strike. Suspended in midair, Lit finds himself exposed, giving Ertz the perfect opportunity to strike with a masterful blow. The captain lifts a cracked wooden piece, turning it over in his hands as he inspects the damage. Silent and motionless, stands before everyone. He quietly admits his defeat. The unexpected honesty leaves everyone stunned, their surprise evident in their wide-eyed expressions. Memories flood Ertz's mind of the moment he underestimated his opponent. Confidence in his ability to withstand the blow had blinded him. Yet Lit revealed himself to be far more dangerous than appearances had suggested. The captain admits that without activating his technique, defeat would have been certain. Even with it, victory slipped through his fingers. The others, taken aback, are left speechless by his unexpected honesty. Defeated, Ert offers praise to the young knight, assuring him that a remarkable future awaits. The scene closes with everyone gathered in the courtyard, where the tension gently subsides and a newfound respect begins to grow. The captain announces he has received a new mission and will no longer be able to guard the princess. The sudden weight of responsibility for the princess's safety settles on Lit. Confusion clouds his thoughts as he struggles to grasp the reality that he has just become her personal guardian. Together with Iris, he sets out on a significant journey to the Grand Duchy of Grail. Despite having only 3 guards accompanying him, Ertz places complete trust in Lit. The carriage glides forward in silence, while the princess sits lost in her thoughts. Among the group, Larg bore a gravity that set him apart, while Lieutenant Zack remained steadfast, never shirking his rigorous training, even while traveling. Zack urges Larg to stay ahead and not let the newcomer surpass them. Before their departure, Iris warns Liet of lurking danger. An assassin may be hiding among the royal knights. Her words fill the air with unease, revealing that the mission carries far greater danger than anyone anticipated. She confides that an attack nearly cost her life, and only sheer luck allowed her to survive. From that moment on, her trust in the Order crumbled, and she became certain that a traitor lurked among them. Suspicion soon settled on her stepsister, Princess Camilla. Iris chose Lith because trusting anyone else felt impossible. Before the journey, she requests a meeting at night, wishing to share more of her story. Late at night, worn out from training, Lit feels aches throughout his body, yet still recalls the meeting he'd been promised. Uncertain of Iris's room location, he wanders through the hallways, searching each one in hopes of finding her. Stepping inside, he finds Iris waiting for him. Without warning, she wraps her arms around him. Bewilderment fills him as he struggles to comprehend what is happening. Fixing her gaze directly on his eyes, a sly smile playing on her lips, she taunts him with sharp words and commands him to remain silent. Tension fills the air between them. Uncertainty pins him in place, unsure how to respond, while her calm and mysterious gaze holds his eyes without wavering. Embarrassment painted Lit's face as he tried to slip away, while Iris lingered, clearly savoring his flustered reaction. Zack enters unexpectedly, sensing an unusual tension in the air, yet Iris remains calm and welcomes him inside. Zack relays the news that Larg has spotted a band of approaching bandits. A sudden tension gripped both Iris and Lit as the atmosphere grew increasingly charged. A night watchman bursts in, delivering an urgent order to flee. However, the strange urgency in his actions raises suspicion among those present. A glint of danger flickers in his eyes, mirrored by the subtle motion of his hand. Cautious, Iris tenses, her guard rising. Without warning, Zack launches an attack from behind. Iris finds herself in peril, but Lit reacts swiftly and intercepts the blow just in time. Accusations of betrayal fall upon Zack, whose sinister smile reveals his true intentions. Zack confesses that he intends to kill Iris and Lit to cover up his betrayal. Iris calmly admits that she had suspected him all along. Eyes devoid of life and sword gripped tightly, Zack stands poised, ready to launch a deadly assault. With a commanding gesture, he summons the spell's Stone Spear, sending a massive lance hurtling straight toward Iris and Lit. The attack strikes with both incredible speed and immense force. Quick reflexes save them from harm, yet the tension in the air thickens. Iris senses that the threat still looms, lurking just beyond reach. With a swift incantation, Zack unleashes the spell's Stone Hand. Massive hands of rock burst from the earth, their fingers stretching wide as they close in, eager to seize both of his opponents. Panic overwhelms Lita as a stone hand clamps around her, freezing every muscle and trapping her in place. Nearby, Iris watches in despair, forced to witness his helpless struggle as he fails to break free. An enigmatic creature suddenly emerges, launching an attack on Zack and shattering his concentration. The spell slips from Zack's control. Regaining his composure, he strides over to Lit with a mocking air, confidently declaring that Lit is nowhere near as impressive as his reputation suggests. Lit struggles to speak, the exhaustion clear in every movement. Iris watches anxiously, her entire body tense as Zack readies himself to deliver the final blow. Zack unveils his scheme, to forge a false report claiming he caught Lith in the act of murdering the princess and then valiantly eliminated the traitor. Relishing the promise of victory ahead, he delivers the verdict with chilling detachment. Lit's fate is sealed. With desperation burning in his eyes, Lit throws a punch at Zack, but Zack barely registers the blow, his only response a brief flicker of surprise. With a mocking grin, he taunts, claiming the blow was no more than a mosquito bite. At that instant, a stirring energy awakens within the air as fragments of stone rise up around Liet. Mastery over the same techniques as Zack comes to him. The stone spear and the stone hand take shape at his command. Channeling newfound power, Lit summons the stone hand, which lunges forward and seizes Zack. Paralyzed by fear, Zack screams as the terrifying truth sinks in. His own magic has turned against him. Lit gathers energy, forging it into a blazing spear that he hurls at close range. The fiery weapon tears through its target with overwhelming force, bringing the battle to a decisive end. Shock and devastation overwhelm Zack as he collapses. A massive hole gapes in the floor, the clear aftermath of a tremendous blow. Iris rushes to Lita's side, concern etched across her face as she asks about his condition. Forcing a reassuring smile, Lita insists that he's fine, though inside the turmoil still lingers. As Lit slowly regains consciousness, steps forward, offering praise. This was exactly the potential he had anticipated. The sudden sound of a scream, however, shatters the moment and fills the air with tension. A shift comes over Iris's face as a sense of looming gravity settles in, an unmistakable awareness that something momentous is about to unfold. Within his memories, Zack showcases remarkable skills, delivering astonishing strikes, formidable techniques, and unleashing a unique transformation. At that moment, Lit and Iris watched in awe, captivated by the overwhelming might of the lieutenants, whose battlefield prowess seemed almost monstrous. A messenger hurries toward Lord Ride, clutching an urgent message. At the mention of Lita's name, the Lord's expression shifts instantly, revealing deep concern. Word spread quickly. Lit had become a royal guard. The news left Red visibly stunned. This development could ripple into serious political consequences. The Lord realizes this promotion could unravel long-standing plans. Tension fills the air, thickening the atmosphere. The messenger continued, recounting how Lit had passed the grueling night exam with distinction and was immediately granted the 7th rank. The revelation catches Raid so off guard that he springs to his feet, a clear sign that his power now faces a genuine threat. Fury erupted within Raid as he spat out accusations, branding Lit a classless upstart. The messenger explains that during the test, the princess witnessed Lit using the skills of a holy knight, which was proof enough. News of the holy knight's power sends a shock through Ride, who loses control, seizes the messenger and demands an explanation. Meanwhile, Lord Kite has already received news of Lit's promotion. The weight in his eyes shows that the situation has now grown into a matter of national importance. Deep in the forest, 2 goblins chat animatedly, laughter echoing between the trees, until a strange movement in the thicket catches their attention. One of them collapses lifeless in an instant. The others stare in stunned disbelief, unable to identify their mysterious assailant. Emerging from the shadows, Lord Kate steps forward. With a chilling smile and sword in hand, he swiftly dispatches another goblin. A goblin creeps in from behind, but Kite instantly catches on to its approach. With a single devastating strike, Kite unleashes immense power, sending the enemy crashing down. The goblin's body soars through the air, the lingering force accentuating the extent of its overwhelming power. Kite stands his ground with calm resolve as one of the goblins charges recklessly toward him. The shield intercepts the blow and slams forcefully into the enemy's torso, hurling him back with raw fury. The gap in strength is immense. Kite unleashed the Celestial Ascension technique, power and speed surging through him. The goblin stared in disbelief, recognizing the legendary skill of a holy knight. Doubt lingers on the battlefield as the soldiers struggle to accept that a newcomer could achieve such feats. Suspicion and fear silently ripple through the ranks. While Kite commands the arena, frustration burns in one of the goblins as he realizes Kite has already reached the 7th rank, while he remains stuck at the 9th. In response, Kite dispatches another monster with a blow so powerful that all doubts vanish. He has clearly surpassed their level. Nearby, another discontented warrior watched the scene unfold. The sight of Kate, a man with neither noble rank nor class, wielding the sacred techniques of a holy knight, unsettled him deeply. Despite lacking any official title, Kite cuts down his enemies with unwavering, unstoppable strength. The monster lumbers closer, its heavy steps making the earth tremble. With a calm resolve, Kite raises his hand, eyes sharp and unyielding, fully prepared to strike back. The sword, infused with celestial energy, slices through the air. The strike erupts in radiant light, shattering the enemy's assault. Goblin bodies soar through the air like ragdolls, their reactions far too slow to comprehend what is happening. Amidst the swirling dust, a figure clad in armor emerges. Kite stands atop a mound of vanquished foes, unwavering and calm. A man approaches, addressing him by name and gently urging him to stay calm. The mood in the room thickens as the mysterious stranger enters, bringing with him an unmistakable sense of tension. The blonde-haired knight casts a haughty glance at Kite, certain that his rise to the 7th rank is nothing but a sham. The upcoming nightly tournament is pointed out as an opportunity for Kaito to prove his strength and earn a noble title. The tournament caters to newcomers with less than 3 years of experience, and victory brings an automatic promotion. In this way, the knight earned his 7th rank, convinced that it was a just reward. With unwavering eyes fixed on Kite, he asserts that this is the only legitimate path to the top. Kate accepted the challenge without a moment's hesitation. Trusting completely in the strength of a holy knight, he declared there was no possibility he could lose. The commander orders Kaito to win the tournament and surpass Lith. Quiet determination settles over Kaito as he accepts his new mission without a word. Elsewhere, a man inquires about the king's well-being. The king replies that, despite the circumstances, he feels well. Another character hesitates on the verge of speaking, clearly shaken by everything that has just unfolded. An intense warrior turns to the captain, asking the reason for his presence. In response, the captain calmly advises him to remain composed. Throughout this entire time, he remained by the king's side, quietly observing every moment that unfolded. Deliberately, the guards were reduced in number. One could catch the killer off guard, just enough to surprise, but not enough to take any real risks. The captain pointed out that he chose not to intervene, seeing that others had already dealt with the murderer. The woman notices something odd about the lieutenant's behavior, yet her husband assures her that he understands exactly what is happening. Surprise washes over her as she wonders what could drive such a reckless group to plot the king's assassination. The captain suspects that Princess Camilla, driven by her thirst for the throne, is the one orchestrating everything from the shadows. Memories surface for the man as he recalls that Camilla is Iris's half-sister. At that moment, the woman calls out Laif's name. News of a duel tournament scheduled for next week reaches them, with an emphasis on the attendance of influential figures, and possibly Camilla herself. Laif grows aware of the tangled dynamics within the royal family. Laif signals his attention as she addresses him, confirming he is listening closely. She requests a display of strength, aiming to ensure their enemies realize they should not be underestimated. A newfound gravity settles in Laif's gaze, his fist clenching with unwavering resolve. He claims to have understood everything. Meanwhile, the captain surveys the landscape, lost in thoughtful observation. The city streets bustle with constant activity. People weave through shops, their movements purposeful, until someone in the crowd points out something unusual. The central order of the night marches into the city, capturing the awe of every onlooker. Within the gathered crowd stand Sarah, Claire, and Cindy, all transfixed by the procession. A voice calls out to Sarah, causing her to turn around in surprise. Laif and Iris step into view side by side, drawing the attention of everyone nearby. Sarah immediately recognizes the princess. Memories surface of a time when she had considered inviting her to join the royal guard. Curiosity flickers in Cindy's eyes as she wonders what has brought the princess together with Laif. Iris explains that she chose Laif to serve as her personal guard. Laif expresses gratitude to Sarah, emphasizing that her strength made all the difference. Without her support, overcoming the challenges would have been impossible. Sarah, feeling lost, admits that she owes Laif quite a lot. With a playful glint in his eye, Iris teases that Sarah might harbor feelings for him. The words barely escape his lips before embarrassment washes over his face. Sarah attempts to clear things up, all while Iris persists with her teasing. Whispers ripple through the crowd as the beginnings of a love triangle become the hot topic. Laif stands nearby, completely baffled by the unfolding drama. Iris flashes a smile and calmly declares that from this moment on, they are rivals. With earnest conviction, she urges Sarah to claim victory in the tournament. A longing to join this guard took hold, the desire to serve alongside Laif growing stronger with each passing day. A moment of hesitation clouds Sarah's face as she prepares to answer. Suddenly, a cry cuts through the air. The thief captures everyone's attention, causing people to pause, their faces etched with worry. A villain wielding the power of ice sends waves of fear through the townspeople, forcing them to scatter in panic. The princess swiftly issues an order to prioritize the safety of the citizens above all else. Next comes the challenge of catching the thief. Life and his companions quietly prepare themselves for the upcoming action. The man's voice rises as he threatens to loot once the evacuation is over. In the next instant, he hurls a massive stone toward them. A man cloaked in a hood emerges, flanked by 2 bodyguards, a mysterious smile playing on his lips. He mocks the thief, calling him a fat fly buzzing aimlessly through the air. The thief bristles with anger, accepts the challenge, and dashes after the mysterious stranger. Cloaked in a hood, the man unleashes a powerful explosion that bursts across the sky, dazzling and stunning everyone in an instant. The audience stares in disbelief, stunned by the sheer speed and power behind his strike. Meanwhile, the stranger smirks, mocking the spectacle and admitting that he had hoped for a more exciting performance. 2 guards urge him to stop fooling around and remind him that they need to leave. Life leans in and asks the princess if she's familiar with this mysterious man. Iris responds by introducing Julius Argyle, a sage from the Eastern Order of Knights. The map reveals the Lawrence Empire, a land guarded by elite knights famed for their exceptional skill. As in years past, brilliant minds from every corner of the country gathered here, each determined to hone their skills to perfection. All of this was done in pursuit of a single goal: to take part in the year's most anticipated event, the Grand Dueling Tournament. The Empire Lawrence Tournament unfolds within the Grand Polaris Coliseum, where a restless crowd eagerly anticipates the thrilling battles to come. The arena brimmed with eager spectators, their excitement building as the event began. The host stepped forward, voice ringing out as he asked if they were ready to witness the rise of a new hero. Another host shares tales of numerous heroes who have risen to fame through this very tournament. The winner will earn the prestigious title of 7th rank. With a confident tone, she throws down a challenge to all newcomers, daring them to step forward. Before the battles commence, the audience is introduced to the Guardians of the Nation, legendary knights renowned for their valor. Regarded as embodiments of strength, they stand as shining examples for younger generations. Their presence alone is what maintains peace throughout the land. The arrival of Captain Leona Frost from the Central Order is announced, and the crowd erupts in enthusiastic applause. Some insist that Leona remains incredibly popular, while others notice unusual murmurs rippling through the crowd. Captain Rijal Radner of the Western Order steps into the arena, renowned for his unbreakable defense. Radner challenges Leona to a wager. Whichever of them lasts longer in the tournament will earn a free meal, courtesy of the other. Leon's eyes widen in astonishment just as the announcer calls out the name of Captain Ralph Sullivan from the Eastern Order. Renowned for his monster-slaying prowess and unwavering composure, Ralph always keeps his cool no matter the circumstances. Confidence in his rookies runs deep, and he places his faith firmly in their victory. The announcer steps forward, proclaiming the arrival of the first princess of the Lawrence Empire. With the grace of a goddess, she steps forward, captivating everyone in the room. The people admire her for her generous spirit and unwavering devotion to their well-being. Thunderous applause greets Princess Iris Lawrence as she takes the stage. In times of unrest, her steady presence preserves calm throughout the capital. Her beauty and natural charisma inspire admiration from all who see her. Some notice the absence of Lifa, her loyal bodyguard, and this unexpected detail stirs a quiet sense of surprise among them. The host announces the first contestant of the tournament. With a sense of ceremony, the participant steps onto the arena, all eyes fixed on the newcomer. A knight from the west appears, his entire form resembling seamless armor infused with living strength. Opponents face his overwhelming strength, reminiscent of a volcano on the verge of eruption. His aura presses against the air, so intense it threatens to shatter the atmosphere itself. The audience holds their breath, captivated by the sheer force of his power. Introduced as Mari Brood, this imposing figure bears the title of Night Tank. The crowd marvels at his fighting spirit. Every movement radiates a fierce intensity and power that commands instant respect. Maurice Brood emerged as a promising newcomer, making his mark on the battlefield with impressive strength and remarkable endurance. Across from him stood a knight of the Central Order, a master of divine powers. Everyone believed these powers were bestowed directly by the heavens. Stepping forward to face him, Sarah of the Central Order carries herself with the composure of a master swordswoman, her flawless technique commanding respect from all who witness her. Life watches her intently, silently urging her to stay strong and not give up. Fingers tightening around the sword's hilt, Sarah resolves not to let defeat find her. The announcer explains that her class is Holy Knight, marking her as a rising star within the Central Order. With unwavering determination, Sarah Scott steps onto the arena floor, her eyes burning with the fire of victory. The host summons both participants to the center and explains the rules. Defeat comes from either hitting the ground or stepping outside the circle within 10 seconds. The fight may be halted, as both participants wear protective rings designed to shield them from deadly strikes. If a ring is destroyed or a combatant surrenders, victory is awarded to the opponent. The priestess raises a shimmering barrier around the arena, enveloping both the audience and the fighters in a protective shield. Gradually, a magical barrier envelops the arena in a translucent glow. The host steps forward with a solemn air, declaring the commencement of the tournament's first round. The Knights of the West commence the tournament against the elite Knights of the Central Order. The battle erupts and tension surges to its highest point. Clutching her sword tightly, Sarah launches herself forward, unleashing a swift and determined assault. Maurice Brute prepares to respond, steadying himself for what comes next. With every ounce of strength within, Brute's strike knocks Sarah off her feet, sending her crashing to the ground after a fierce collision. The narrator unveils Brute's origins, describing his birth in a modest village nestled between the Empire of Lawrence and Novel Turnia. Peace filled their days, until everything changed one fateful day. No bloodthirsty tiger had ever invaded the village. Panic sweeps through the crowd as residents scatter in all directions, desperate to escape. The villagers stood their ground, resisting fiercely as they awaited the knight's arrival. Uncertain if their call for help had been heard, they fought on with unwavering determination until the very end. Trapped in the corner by the tiger, the young man steps forward, risking his life to protect the others. In a desperate effort to save his fellow villagers, the young man suffers a savage bite. The strike comes swift as lightning, leaving him utterly stunned. Soldiers finally arrive on the scene. One of them urges the townspeople to flee while the squad prepares to face the tiger. Impressed by the young man's bravery, the knight casts him a solemn glance, a silent gesture of gratitude for his courage. One of the knights leaps forward with unwavering confidence, vowing to defeat the tiger in a single blow. Determined to eliminate the threat, he charges ahead with bold resolve. The knight lands with tremendous force, striking the tiger with a single blow. The ground cracks beneath his feet as the beast collapses in defeat before the astonished onlookers. Words of praise for the young man's courage flow from his lips as he inquires about the youth's name. Struggling to catch his breath, the boy introduces himself as Maurice Brutzer. The knight offers a grateful smile, expressing thanks and committing the brave young man's name to memory. Memories of Rigel's recognition after the battle linger in Maurice's mind. In that moment, the desire to become as strong as the captain first began to take root within him. The road behind him had been harsh, marked by grueling training, initiation into the Order of Western Knights, and a solemn vow to claim victory. Now, standing before Sarah, he was no longer the man she once knew. Hardship had forged him into someone stronger. With a burst of speed, Sarah lunges forward, delivering a rapid series of precise strikes, only to be met by her opponent's formidable shield. Dodging swiftly, she retreats and waits for the perfect opportunity to lunge forward. Her gaze brimmed with unwavering focus. Victory remained her sole objective. Sarah unleashes the Thousand Frosts technique, surging forward in a blur and delivering a swift, powerful strike. The opponent raises his shield, invoking the Steel Citadel technique. A rush of energy sweeps across the arena as offense and defense collide. The collision sends the knight staggering, struggling to regain his balance. Sensing her moment, Sarah wastes no time. The instant he calls upon the steel chariot, she spots the opening and readies a precise counterattack. With agile movements, she dodges his attack, knocks him off balance with a swift strike, and glides gracefully to the center of the arena. A magical seal materializes on the ground, marking the initiation of a powerful technique. Once again, they meet in the center. He stands encased in heavy armor, while she prepares her sword for the next move. Determination fills the air as both resolve to see this duel through to the end. The crowd held their breath, sensing that something extraordinary was about to unfold. The narrator cannot contain his excitement, sensing that this moment will decide everything. The duel intensifies as both opponents refuse to yield, their powers so closely matched that neither gains an advantage. From the stands, the veterans share their thoughts on Maurice's skills. Despite his years, he wields the heavy hammer with impressive mastery. Such mastery was rare, even among the most seasoned veterans. Since joining the Order, no monster had ever made him falter. Always at the forefront, he shielded his comrades, gaining valuable battle experience at great personal risk. The audience sits in stunned silence as the newest member of the Order, Sarah, delivers a breathtaking performance that leaves everyone astonished. The fight unfolds with unpredictable twists, eyes locked firmly on every movement. Amidst the crowd, a hooded man smiles quietly, toying with a small cube in his hand. For him, this is only the beginning. Following a brief pause, the opponent addresses Sarah with a rough tone, calling her simply you. Outraged, she demands respect and states her name. The knight's demeanor softens as he repeats it, as if committing it to memory. Maurice suddenly halts and confesses his love to her, declaring his feelings since the very first moment of their battle. Sarah stands bewildered, uncertain of how to respond. The audience sits in stunned silence, trying to absorb what has just unfolded before them. Before she can regain her composure, the other characters respond with a flurry of sarcastic remarks. An observation arises that Maurice's squad is made up entirely of men. Perhaps that explains his sudden infatuation. Meanwhile, Iris finds herself thoroughly entertained by the situation. Nerves flicker across Sarah while she exhales softly, uncertain how to respond at first. Moments later, determination settles in her gaze as she looks straight at him. She declares she will answer after the fight and warns that she won't hold back. Maurice smiles, clearly pleased. This is exactly what he had hoped for. Both contestants steeled themselves for what lay ahead, ready to resume the duel with freshly ignited determination. With blinding speed, Sarah lunges forward, the ground beneath her shattering and splitting as if rocked by an earthquake, testament to the raw power of her explosive move. Eyes narrowed in fierce concentration, she locks her gaze on her opponent, every muscle poised to bring this battle to an end. After the collision, her knees hit the ground, giving Maurice the upper hand. Without a hint of hesitation, Maurice charges forward once more, tearing through the arena as the commentator shouts about his utter lack of mercy. Sarah struggles to rise, her leg betraying her with a sharp surge of pain and shock. Determined not to yield, she forces her body to push onward, refusing to surrender to her injuries. Maurice swings his hammer down onto the ground, sending stones flying, a confident grin spreading across his face as he realizes he has crafted the perfect area for an attack. With a swift motion, Sarah drives her sword into the ground, pushes off and soars skyward, unfazed by the turmoil churning all around her. Suspended in the air, she prepared her next move with unwavering focus, impressing everyone with her precision and the explosive force of her leap. Slipping past Maurice's next strike, the momentum shifts in an instant as a counterattack forces him on the defensive. Spinning through the air, he unleashed a powerful kick. The target becomes Maurice's throat. The narrator can barely conceal amazement at such precision, and the tension within the arena sharpens even further. Silence swept over the crowd as everyone watched on edge, eagerly awaiting the next move. Maurice braced himself and absorbed the blow. His defense stood unbreakable, captivating the crowd with the relentless force of a true battle-hardened tank. In the midst of the clash, Sarah acknowledges her opponent's strength, tightening her grip on the sword's hilt. Maurice calmly declares that he can fend off any attack. Acknowledging her strength, he remains completely confident in his shield. Sarah realizes that victory can only be hers if she manages to break through his defense. With fearless resolve, she charges straight at him, her focus locked onto the shield. Swift and precise, her attacks relentlessly hunt for a weakness, yet the shield refuses to yield. Undeterred, she presses on, increasing the pressure and launching a renewed assault as she searches for a way through the defense. A memory surfaces. During a solo training session, Sarah injured her arm. At her side stood her father, Dolce Scott. The blacksmith notices the wound, examines her arm carefully, advises her to be more cautious in the future, and helps tend to her injury. Intrigued, Sarah asks how he manages to shatter solid stone with a single strike. Dolce simply responds with a mysterious smile. Carefully demonstrating the technique with the stone in hand, he asked her to watch closely. Sarah learns to sense the stone with her hands, searching for its weakest point under his guidance. Offers an explanation. Within every stone lies a precise spot, a place where a single, well-aimed strike causes the rock to split cleanly in two. Astonishment flickers in Sarah's eyes as she wonders aloud what will happen if no weakness can be found. With a gentle smile, the father responds, his tone growing even more reassuring, painting everything as simple and clear. Preparation begins to reveal an alternative solution. Resuming the battle, Sarah relentlessly targets the same spot, her strikes growing ever more forceful. Soon, a crack starts to form in the shield. With unwavering focus, every ounce of strength is channeled into that single precise spot. Unleashing the full might of his technique, the blade strikes directly at the shield's vulnerable point. The shield shatters and bursts into fragments, leaving Maurice frozen in astonishment. The force of the blow shattered the shield, leaving the audience stunned. Sarah calmly explains that she focused her attacks on a single spot until a crack appeared. The commentators express their amazement, since this barrier had always been considered impenetrable. Observers remark on the precision of her strikes. The leader of the Royal Knights stands convinced that Sarah had been preparing even before joining the order, and declares her wish to see Sarah among her own ranks. The others held their breath in anticipation, awaiting the girl's response. Maurice gazes at the shattered shield fragments, genuine admiration in his eyes as he praises Sarah. Her remarkable nature had always been clear to him, Amazement flashes across his face as he confesses, with genuine awe, that nothing in his life compares to what he now sees. Sitting quietly, Sarah listens intently, utterly captivated by his words. Rising to his feet without a shield, Maurice gathers renewed strength and declares that the real battle is only just beginning. With unwavering resolve, he charges forward once more. The crowd grows still, every eye fixed on the arena as anticipation for the next round fills the air. Suddenly, Sarah slides her sword back into its sheath. The crowd falls silent, puzzled by her decision to relinquish her weapon. No one can grasp the reason behind her unexpected action. The spectators murmur among themselves, wondering if she intends to fight with her bare hands. Maurice remains puzzled by his opponent's intentions. Launching himself forward, he swings his hammer back, preparing for a powerful direct strike. Without drawing her sword, Sarah watches him intently, her patience unwavering as she waits for the perfect moment. The tension in the air intensifies. Maurice launches a crushing blow, but Sarah slips aside with effortless agility. Every movement precise, her control unwavering. Amid the relentless assaults, calmness envelops her. Every motion calculated, her body responding with flawless precision. She lingers in the shadows, waiting for her moment to arrive. For now, the world turns without her. From the boxes, the veterans observe Maurice's growing unease, noting how his composure slowly slips away. Some quietly suggest that the loss of his shield might be the cause. Yet an experienced knight recognizes that his rage stems from Sarah's calm refusal to draw her sword, a restraint that only fuels his agitation further. Maurice lunges forward, rage fueling each movement, only to be met by the unwavering and serene gaze of his opponent. A gentle smile plays on her lips as she stands close, silent and fearless. The tension hanging in the air stretches to its breaking point. Maurice lunges in an attempt to catch her off guard, but she responds with lightning-fast reflexes. A single precise strike sends Maurice soaring through the air, the ground beneath him shattering while the crowd erupts in a wave of cheers. Stunned and struggling to rise, he finds himself overpowered by Sarah. She lands a fierce uppercut to his chin, followed quickly by a powerful kick. Every move demonstrates her complete command of the fight. Irritation flares in Maurice's voice as he demands she draw her sword, the sting of humiliation sharp in his chest. Mockery hangs in the air, leaving him feeling small and exposed. Silence lingers as Sarah stands composed, her gaze remaining icy and focused, eyes locked on the precise moment she needs to act. Maurice lunges forward with his hammer, yet she closes the distance in the blink of an eye. Each movement carried precision and speed, her strike landing directly on target. Maurice collapses to the ground, his body rendered utterly immobile. She holds him down, making sure he cannot get back up. Astonishment swept through the crowd. Sarah claimed victory without ever drawing her sword. Maurice sprawls helplessly on the ground, utterly immobilized. Her will keeps him completely subdued. Only now does Sarah slowly draw her sword, a silent gesture marking a dignified end. A confident smile spreads across Sarah's face, as if she merely fulfills his request to draw the sword. Yet now, in the wake of victory, her gesture carries the weight of an ironic finale to the battle. Maurice concedes defeat with a smile, admitting that she was right all along. The crowd bursts into joyful celebration and triumph fills the arena. The crowd buzzed with excitement as Sarah's unexpected victory captivated everyone, her unique style leaving the audience both stunned and enthralled. The judge formally declares the duel over. Sarah claims victory in the first round. Calm and composed, she surveys the arena with quiet confidence and pride. One of the knights commends Leona for the impeccable training of her subordinate. He observes how keeping the sword sheathed served as a cunning provocation. With this subtle act, Sarah caused Maurice to lose his composure. Consensus formed around the idea that her actions were part of a carefully crafted strategy, enabling her to strike with precision exactly when it mattered most. However, the seasoned knight offers a word of caution, explaining that such a risk might have resulted in a serious injury if anything had gone wrong. He wonders if anyone else has recognized her talent since she joined the Central Order. The expressions on the surrounding faces told the whole story. Sarah had captured everyone's attention the moment she appeared. Leona suddenly confesses that Sarah was admitted to the Order solely because of her title as a holy knight, while her true abilities remained a complete mystery. Candid words pass between them, weaving a subtle tension through the air as the other knights exchange knowing glances. The battle ends and Maurice calls out to Sarah, reminding her of his heartfelt confession. A wave of surprise washes over her. She had completely forgotten about it. Still, she pretends to remember, though panic stirs within her. With an awkward smile, Sarah politely declines his offer, her apology tinged with visible unease. Maurice lowers his gaze, pained by the moment. Quietly, he wonders aloud if his weakness is the reason behind it all. Sarah immediately rejects the notion, calmly clarifying that strength has nothing to do with it. With a genuine smile, she confides that someone else already occupies her heart. Her words are soft, yet filled with determination. The rejection stems not from his lack of strength, but because her heart has already chosen someone else. In the end, Maurice finds himself defeated both on the battlefield and in love. All eyes turn to Sarah as she dashes toward Lit, her face shining with excitement, eager to share her triumph directly with him. At that very moment, a new figure stepped onto the scene. A look of surprise and tension crossed Lit's face, betraying how unprepared he was to encounter this person in such a place. In an instant, the mood shifts, a fresh arrival steps in, cloaked in secrecy, and a tangible tension settles throughout the room. Two men fix their unwavering gaze on Lita. One of them immediately demands an explanation for his presence, his tone laced with clear displeasure. The duel between the Central and Western orders had reached its end, with Sarah's victory marking a striking highlight of the tournament. The battle unfolds with gripping intensity, drawing thunderous applause from the crowd that lingers long after the final move. The host commends the remarkable skill on display and the audience's wholehearted engagement. The arena lies in ruins as the organizers announce a break to restore the field. Spectators are kindly asked to wait patiently. Meanwhile, Lit approaches the men who persist in pressing him. One speaks with authority while the other addresses him mockingly, as if suggesting Lit is only pretending not to hear. Tension mounts in this room. The moment his name is spoken, Lit flinches. With a burst of enthusiasm, Sarah claims that he has successfully passed the night exam, hoping to ease the tension in the air. Lit did more than simply pass his trials. He earned a place in the royal guard and was entrusted with the protection of the princess. Yet, despite this achievement, the tension in the air remained untouched, as Duke Raid and his ally continued to watch him without blinking. Sarah steps forward to defend Lita, but her words are swiftly cut off. One of the men interrupts her sharply, making it clear that her opinion is unwelcome and outsiders have no place here. Her words diminish his resolve, forcing him to retreat. This is a matter that exists solely between him and Leto. With a trace of sarcasm, the fair-haired youth recounted how his older brother, once the favored heir, drifted through life with ease until a divine revelation shattered his illusion, exposing his own lack of talent. This turn of events led to the emergence of a new heir to the ducal house, one who embraced the role with unwavering pride. With a humble bow, Lit lowers his head and offers his heartfelt gratitude to his brother. With scorn in his voice, he offers a reply. Meanwhile, another man approaches Sarah, anger flickering in his eyes as he belittles her, suggesting that a single victory means nothing at all. Stepping forward, Lit firmly grasps the attacker's arm, causing the assailant to unexpectedly lose control of it. The tension intensifies as everyone stands in stunned silence. Lit stands tall and unwavering, bowing respectfully to his father, a silent promise that he will not allow any disrespect. With genuine honesty, he admits that no divine blessing ever graced his path, and he never lived up to the expectations set by his family. With downcast eyes, an apology slips from him for the shame he has brought upon his father and their family name. He reveals that his ability awakened by chance, long after his exile. Navigating the night on his own, he managed to pass the test with no one by his side. News of his appointment as a royal guard swept through the palace, leaving everyone stunned, including Sarah herself. Meanwhile, Kite fixes a scornful gaze ahead, declaring with unwavering conviction that he alone deserves to be the true heir and the holy knight. With a strained smile, Lit admits that exile truly was the right choice. No class had been bestowed upon him, and in this world, lacking a gift from the gods rendered one utterly insignificant. Without warning, his father slams his fist into the ground, unleashing a furious shockwave that tears through everything nearby. The sheer force of destruction freezes everyone in stunned silence. Without uttering a single word, the Duke stands motionless amid the wreckage. The others watch in silence, quietly trying to make sense of the sudden outburst of emotion. Amidst the crumbling ruins, the father commands Lytus to leave this place without delay. He insists that the person is no longer part of the family. Suddenly, a firm voice interrupts, stating that this claim is simply not true. As an imposing figure enters the room, the tension melts away. Iris Lawrence, the first princess of the Empire, steps forward and gently asks the Duke to raise his head. A warm smile lights her face as she recalls the last time they met. The princess recounts witnessing Lita's remarkable abilities during the night exam, and explains that she personally recruited him into the royal guard. His name struck her as oddly familiar. Soon, official records are revealed before her eyes. In front of everyone, she boldly announces that Lita has truly been cast out of the family. Even her father stands in shock, stunned by such a declaration from her lips. The Duke explains to Iris that in this world, One's divine class determines not only abilities, but also one's place in society, standing as an unshakable foundation for social status. Years spent as a holy knight in the Eastern Order shaped him, and he now carefully explains their hierarchy. Holy knights and saints occupy the highest ranks in society, with magicians and warriors following in the middle tier. Farmers and merchants belong to the lowest class. The audience listens intently as the harsh system is laid bare. Among them, many hold the belief that only divine favor grants access to the highest ranks. The tournament stands as an arena crafted for the elite, a place where only the strongest prove their might in combat. Yet now the truth has emerged. The boy chosen for the royal guard has at last been revealed. Never once had he been granted a divine class. Yet it was his own skill that earned him this seat. In a world where social rank dictates every destiny, Lit stands apart, untouched by divine favor. To others, he is the outcast, the one the gods have deliberately overlooked. A knight steps forward and declares that he has been cast aside by the very gods themselves, yet still holds a position of great authority. His words ripple through the hall, leaving the audience stunned. Public humiliation weighs heavily on Lit as the knight's mocking voice rings out, declaring that if the gods refuse to acknowledge him, then he has no place here. Sarah watches the scene with growing anxiety, unwilling to accept that Lita's name could become the target of such cruel contempt. Her gaze glides silently back and forth between Leto and his father. The Duchess finds herself chilled by the Duke's icy indifference, seeing how he regards their son as nothing more than a disgrace. Deep within, Sarah instinctively reaches out to Lita, longing to offer her support. The sound of the Duke's words reaches her, yet acceptance eludes her heart. Unwavering belief in Lita forms the foundation of her resolve. The woman in the hat declares with confidence that everyone has their own part to play, even without a blessing from the gods. Everyone possesses unique talents, and their weaknesses are balanced by the support they receive from others. True worth lies not in titles, but in the actions one takes. Memories surface of the boy at her side, who rushed forward without hesitation, putting his life on the line to save her. A genuine desire to protect cannot be given as a gift. It is something that springs from the heart. One of the aristocrats fixes Iris with a grave, unwavering gaze. Witnessing her approach the outcast youth, he quietly inquires if she truly intends to defy the will of the gods. Iris offers nothing but a cheeky smile and simply says, "Who's to say?" Buzzing with enthusiasm, she puts forward an unexpected proposal while the Duke, wary and alert, scrutinizes her intentions. The arena, flawlessly restored by the Prior's magic, stands ready once more for combat. With renewed enthusiasm, the announcer promises even grander spectacles ahead. The announcement of the second round electrifies the atmosphere. The host ramps up the excitement, teasing the arrival of unfamiliar yet formidable fighters to the eager crowd. The next warrior stands out, gifted with celestial strength, unmatched speed, and explosive power. The crowd holds its breath, anticipation mounting as they await the arrival of this relentless opponent. Suddenly, a burst of brilliant light erupts at the heart of the arena, shaking everything to its core. The mightiest contender steps into the spotlight as the crowd holds its breath. The announcer, his voice brimming with excitement, introduces a member of the Eastern Order, renowned for wielding the tournament's greatest power. Sir Knight Kate Wellesley enters the arena, his posture proud and unwavering, a bold smile playing on his lips. The crowd erupts in admiration, captivated by his imposing presence. The host announces with excitement that the moment to discover the answer has finally arrived. The entire room held its breath, waiting to see who would face Wellesley next. With calm composure, Princess Iris raises her hand and announces that she has a proposal, leaving everyone in the room stunned. A direct challenge unfolds as she urges Kaito to prove his strength on the spot, infusing the moment with sharp, palpable tension. Beneath the surface of the crowd, a fist clenches tightly. A sense of an impending clash hangs in the air. Iris announces that Lit will be the one to face Wellesley in the official tournament match. The unexpected turn of events leaves everyone in stunned silence. While Kite wears a self-satisfied smile, Lit appears slightly unsure, uncertainty flickering across his face. Iris watches them both with unwavering confidence, her decision clearly final. She makes a proposition. Should Kite defeat Lit, he will earn the 7th rank, bypassing the need to complete the entire tournament. The Duke attempts to object, yet Iris stands firm. Her declaration that a public duel leaves no room for doubt silences any argument. Kite readily agrees, certain that victory is within his grasp, and recognizing this as a brilliant opportunity. For him, defeating an opponent without class like Lit proved nothing more than a trivial task. The Duke, though taken aback by Iris's boldness, raised no objections. Raid fixes a serious gaze on Kate, his eyes steady and unwavering. Placing a firm hand on his shoulder, he commands with quiet authority that defeat is not an option. The warning carries a harsh edge, making it clear not to underestimate an opponent. Kite listens intently, fully focused on every word. In the very next moment, he sneers once more, dismissing Liet as a nobody. With an icy confidence, he promises to demonstrate the true power of a holy knight. Without another word, Raid walks away, leaving only a single order behind. You must win. Lit stands beside Sarah, his expression determined. The mention of his opponent's name stirs a ripple of unease through the crowd. Despite being officially recognized as a royal guard, his status remains classless. The audience reacts in a mix of disbelief and amusement. Some sit stunned while others break into laughter. In contrast, Iris maintains a serene, gentle smile. News of Lita's absence from class sparks a surge of excitement among the crowd in the stands. One knight stands in disbelief, while the other gently tries to reassure him. Amid the buzz of the crowd, an older man studies the scene intently, as if a crucial memory has just surfaced. The crowd grows hostile, hurling objects and insults at Leto. Jeers and mocking shouts echo from the stands while the announcer's attempts to calm the crowd go unheard. The crowd's shouts demand his departure, yet Lit remains unmoved. He stands his ground, masking his emotions and refusing to retreat. The crowd continues to murmur restlessly while Iris watches in silence, worry flickering in her eyes. Meanwhile, Kite stands apart, wearing a smug grin. The grandstands brim with nobles of the highest rank, their faces composed and unreadable. Duke Raid remains seated among them, betraying no reaction. Kite urges the judge to begin the match at once, prompting the announcer to signal the start of the duel. At the judge's signal, the second match begins. Both opponents move to the center of the arena, standing prepared for the upcoming clash. Swords drawn, the crowd froze in anticipation. A defiant smile played on Kate's lips, while Lit remained calm and focused, his gaze unwavering. Kai activates his technique, heavenly empowerment. Energy surges through his body, igniting him with newfound strength. With a burst of determination, he lunges at his opponent, aiming to end the battle with a single blow. The commentator can barely hide his amazement at the ferocity of the assault. Kite unleashes his attack, channeling power into his technique known as Heavenly Blade. Pushing himself to the limit, he aims to obliterate Lit in a single instant. The crowd murmurs with anticipation, uncertain if Lit will manage any kind of response. The sudden onslaught leaves Lit stunned, caught off guard by the speed of the attack. Kate's blow splits the earth at the heart of the arena, sending debris surging upward. Chaos spreads as the audience springs to their feet in alarm. Kate unleashes a strike brimming with force, aiming to bring the battle to an immediate end. Yet within moments, his knees hit the ground and the arena falls silent. Iris stands with unwavering confidence while Duke Ride maintains a stern composure. Beads of sweat trickle down Kate's face as his gaze falls to the ground, disbelief etched across his features at the reality of his defeat. With unwavering resolve, Lit forces him to the ground and presses the blade to his throat. The battle comes to a decisive end. Defeated and humbled, Kite lies silent, unable to muster a response. With an icy stare, Lit echoes his words in a mocking tone. Finish it in an instant, is that right? Struck by paralysis, Kite remains motionless on the ground. The spectators are stunned by the fall of someone who had boasted so confidently moments before. Kate staggers back, confusion and fury swirling in his eyes as the reality of defeat dawns on him. The commentator's voice falters with shock. Lit, calm and composed, remains still. Classless has turned the entire situation upside down. The arena fell silent in disbelief as Kate, overwhelmed by an unexpected defeat, collapsed to the ground before everyone. Another participant watches on, eyes wide with surprise. Bewilderment settled in, unable to grasp how everything had unfolded so rapidly. The battle highlights Lita's remarkable progress. Meanwhile, it is explained that the Heavenly Blade is a technique reserved for the Holy Knights. An incredible force gathers at the very tip of her sword to deliver a decisive blow. Yet if the enemy arrives too soon, the magic will fade away, causing the technique to lose its strength. This very fate befell Kate. Lit took advantage of this weakness. In a flash, he closed the distance and landed a precise blow to the abdomen. The blow interrupted the activation, causing the energy to dissipate into the air. The attack struck with swift precision, leaving no room for hesitation. Lith seizes the enemy's sword, effortlessly disarming and neutralizing his opponent. Shock paralyzed Kite, leaving him no time to respond. Urs watched in astonishment as Lit anticipated the enemy's every move. All the while, a quiet voice echoed in the boy's memory, offering unwavering support. I believe in you. Those words echo in Lit's mind, fueling a steady determination to prove true strength. Stunned, Kate gazes ahead, unable to grasp how everything shifted so suddenly. The judge inquires if he is prepared to proceed. Rising to his feet, he bristles with resentment and humiliation. He brushes it off as a mere coincidence, loudly insisting that he would never lose to someone so hopelessly lacking in class. The crowd has started to recognize Lita's strength, regardless of his standing. Even Kite finds himself taken aback by the force and precision on display. The audience murmurs in awe, noting the unexpected skill of the one everyone had underestimated at first. The crowd grows more and more enthralled by Lit, watching him hold his own against an elite holy knight. Among the onlookers, tension rises, aware that this outcome could shift everything. One observer, in particular, senses the full gravity of the moment. Should Lit lose, the world would continue just as before. But should victory fall to Lit, everything would be transformed. Recognized as even mightier than a holy knight, his strength alone threatens to tarnish the knight's hard-won reputation. Princess Iris surveys the scene with a confident smile, her poise leaving no doubt that the unfolding events spring from her careful planning. All eyes reflect silent admiration for her brilliant strategy. In a fleeting moment of distraction, Lit finds himself struck by a sudden frontal assault as Kite lunges forward with every ounce of his strength. With a powerful straight punch, he breaks through his opponent's defense and throws him off balance. Lit crashes to the ground beneath the force of the blow, sending up a billowing cloud of dust as he slides across the earth. Despite his injury, Kite refuses to halt and steadies himself to press the attack forward. Once more, Kite launches himself into a leap, aiming to end the duel with the celestial blade technique. But Lith has already discovered the flaw in its form. Charging forward with lightning speed, he halts the attack before it even begins, deftly neutralizing the maneuver. Panic grips Kite as defeat comes upon him once more. Lita's powerful blow lands squarely in her opponent's stomach, sending him flying to the side with such force that the crowd erupts in a surge of excitement. The audience sits in stunned silence as the momentum of the battle shifts. Kaita is thrown beyond the arena's edge. The disqualification timer begins its countdown. The crowd eagerly counts each passing second, while Lit watches the conclusion of the duel with keen attention. Julius Argyle, the wise sage of the Eastern Knights Order, observes the unfolding battle with genuine interest lighting his eyes. Admitting the truth, he realized that even without his class, Lit had completely outperformed the Holy Knight, who was supposed to be the stronger one. A nod of approval appears on Julius's face as he addresses the boy by name, remarking on how this young man grows more intriguing with every moment. Meanwhile, the timer keeps ticking down. Wounded and desperate, Kite pushes himself to the limit, racing against the clock to return to the arena before time runs out. At the very last moment, he leaps back onto the arena, signaling the fight's continuation. Despite wounds and exhaustion weighing him down, Kate boldly declares himself the strongest and launches a swift, daring attack. Lit seizes the moment and delivers a precise, devastating blow to the opponent's face, instantly halting their advance. The attack concludes with a flawless finishing move. Kite is sent flying while the crowd stands frozen in awe at Light's incredible strength. Doubt flickered across the faces of Kite's allies, their unease growing as they saw his shock. Confusion clouded his mind, unable to grasp how defeat found him with such speed. Lit regards his defeated opponent with unwavering confidence. Kite kneels on the ground, drained of all strength, while Lit prepares to deliver his decisive words, calm and commanding. In the flashback, little Lit appears as a child clutching a piece of bread. Eyes locked on another boy dressed in tattered clothes, Lit speaks with unwavering resolve. Surrender. This scene unveils a pivotal memory from his past, a moment that shaped the very core of the hero's character. In another memory, a bread seller offers Lito some freshly baked goods, and Lito chooses to buy 3 loaves. The merchant offered a word of caution about the dangers lurking in the city, teeming with thieves at every corner. Not long after, a boy snatched bread from Lita's hands and disappeared into the crowd. The moment the theft occurs, Lit understands with chilling clarity that this is a genuine crime. The realization dawns that the warning had been warranted, and his own carelessness proved disastrous. After paying for the bread, Lit sets off toward the 4th district of the Lawrence Empire, a slum inhabited solely by the Mitlin, who make up the lower class. The boy who stole a loaf of bread races through the neighborhood streets, breathless and desperate. The story highlights how those from the lowest rungs of society face relentless discrimination, leaving theft as their only means of survival. The oppressed do not steal out of malice. Hunger and despair drive them to it. Lit comes across a starving boy and quietly offers him some bread. In a gentle voice, she advises him to slow down and politely asks him not to steal again, a small act of kindness in the harsh world of the slums. Suddenly, the boy lashes out with a kick at Lit, startled by how the stranger managed to appear without a sound. Confusion flickers in his eyes as he struggles to grasp who stands before him and how this person moves with such quiet precision. With flawless reflexes, Lit effortlessly sidesteps the attack, moving with graceful precision. A precise strike to the stomach sends the boy tumbling, knocking him off his feet and hurling him to the ground. The young thief cries out in pain and collapses into the dust. Lying helpless, stunned by the impact, he convinces himself that the situation is not particularly serious. Casting hopeful glances at Lita, the boy pleads for her guidance in combat, his determination shining through. Declaring a desire to become stronger, Lit turns away in silence. The boy's training by the river reveals a surprising sincerity in his words. With a steady gaze fixed on the water, the boy admits that life in this city is a constant struggle, and strength remains the only way to survive. Seated along the canal's edge, he explains his belief that Lit aided him because he hungers for strength, eager to earn his meals and master impressive techniques. Despite the theft, conviction fills him that Lit has already forgiven him. The boy believed that because he came alone, without calling any adults, it proved his kindness. A genuine smile brightens his face as he admits his wish to become as strong as Lit. The honesty in his words stirs something deep within the hero's heart. The scene ends with an image of a piece of bread, a powerful symbol of hunger, struggle, and an unexpected new connection. After hearing the young man's words, Lit tosses something, most likely bread, into the water, an action that sparks curiosity. A faint smile flickers across his face as he replies, admitting that when someone speaks with such sincerity, there must be truth in their words. With this simple gesture, a new bond of mutual respect quietly begins to form. Lit agrees to train the boy, but warns him sternly not to give up halfway. The boy, brimming with excitement, promises to give it his all. With smiles exchanged between them, a new journey quietly begins. With a warm smile, Lit introduces himself and extends his clenched fist. With a confident gesture, the boy introduces himself as Kite. The meeting of their fists marks the beginning of a new friendship, one destined to alter the paths of both lives. Their joint training session begins immediately after that. Racing through the streets, Kite struggles for breath, wondering about the need for such intense effort. Lit responds calmly, explaining that overcoming formidable opponents demands endurance and mastery over one's own breathing. During wooden sword practice, Kato struggles to keep up the pace, his focus slipping just long enough for a blow to land. Lit explains the importance of protecting even their legs. Despite Kaita's exhaustion, a gentle smile plays on Lit's face as he warns that 3 more sets await them after the break. During the break, Lit hands Kai some bread, and Kai thanks him. Although he admits to feeling weary and lacking any appetite, Lit insists that eating is necessary, hunger or not, or else his strength will fade away. Impressed by Lit's determination, Kite wonders aloud if he comes from noble blood and why he's so devoted to training. Lit simply replies that it's necessary. He shares that his father is a fighter of remarkable skill. Great expectations were placed on him, with many predicting a high rank in the future. Yet behind each move, he trains relentlessly, hoping his father will finally acknowledge him. Without proving his strength, he believes his father's approval will remain out of reach. Kate observes that Light's father seems to place a great deal of trust in him, which he takes as an encouraging sign. Slightly unsettled, Lit asks if Kaito's situation is the same. Kaito's answer comes hesitantly. His father rarely appears at home, hinting at a distant and frosty relationship between them. During a break in training, a sudden thought crosses Kate's mind. Today is his mother's birthday. With warm enthusiasm, extends an invitation to Lita to join the family celebration. A smile lights up Lita's face as she gladly accepts. Along the way, Lit carefully balances the cake in his hands, while Kite expresses heartfelt gratitude for his help. The boy grows a bit uneasy, unable to pay, yet Lit simply brushes it off as unimportant. A bright excitement sparks in Kite's eyes as he notes that their mother will be happy. Meanwhile, Lith offers a gentle smile, pleased to have been of help. Kite steps into the house with Lita, her voice bubbling as she calls out the arrival of both their guest and the promised cake. Warmth fills the room as her mother greets them, mentioning that father has just arrived home as well. Lita, aiming for politeness, offers a greeting but suddenly tenses, an unease flickering across her face. Carrying the cake into the room, Lit freezes in his tracks as he recognizes the man seated at the table. It is his father. The father's gaze remains cold and reserved, while Lit stands motionless, gripped by silent shock. The mood in the room shifts instantly. With commanding authority, the father's voice compels Lit to take a seat. His eyes grow wide, tension coiling through his posture, betraying an emotional strain impossible to conceal. Sensing the growing tension in the room, Kate quietly asks about what is going on. Each person at the table feels the air thicken, making it even harder to breathe. Lit fixes his gaze on the man sitting across from him, the urge to speak flickering in his eyes. Yet, As the words hesitate on his lips, a sudden realization settles over him. This is his father. Discovery leaves Kite stunned, his gaze clouded with confusion as he struggles to grasp what is unfolding before him. Stunned, Lit locks eyes with the man and demands in a firm voice to know why he is here. An intense silence fills the room. Another glance falls upon him, and with a stunned expression, he calls the man his father. Confusion and anger swirl within him as he demands answers, while the tension between them steadily mounts. At the mention of this word, father, the man sternly commands silence, his tone icy and unyielding. Tension thickens in the room as the woman beside him, her voice trembling with fear, asks why the child addresses him that way. Kate steps forward, trying to shield his mother, while Lit remains rooted to the spot, still holding the cake. A mocking smile played on the man's lips as he remarked that Lit had asked an interesting question. In response, he inquires how, in his opinion, a person ends up becoming insignificant. Lit replies hesitantly, confessing that he lacks a knight's strength. Unease and tension flicker in his eyes, betraying his inner turmoil. Father nods in approval, confirming that the answer is correct. He speaks of his lifelong ambition for this position, convinced that strength alone kept it from being snatched away. With a chill precision, he slices the meat and remarks that only the strongest endure. He recounts how he managed to secure the title of Duke within a single generation, a feat seldom accomplished. Maintaining this position, however, requires a worthy heir. Fixing his gaze directly on Lita, he declares with quiet resolve that, as the eldest child, this responsibility falls squarely on his shoulders. The father speaks in a stern, unyielding tone, declaring that if Lit fails to achieve a high rank by the age of 18, the future of the Duke's household will be at risk. All hope now rests on his performance at the class assignment ceremony. Just in case another candidate had been prepared. Should Lit fail, the duchy would then pass to Kate. At first, the truth was meant to stay hidden until the ceremony, but now everything has come to light. Shock washes over Kite. Without uttering another word, the father quietly exits the room, shutting down any chance for disagreement. With a parting glance, he delivers one final order: do not let me down. Silence fills the room, heavy with pain, anger, and shock as both boys reel from the truth they have just uncovered. Rage boils within Kite as anger erupts into a furious attack against Lita. Ever since learning the truth and watching his father disappear, Kite has placed all the blame on Lita. The battle reignites with renewed intensity. Kite shouts that their father treated both him and his mother merely as shields to protect his own power, and now Kite longs to unleash every buried word through the fury of this fight. Despite everything, his mother kept her faith in that man and waited patiently for his return. Rage surges through Kaido, intertwining with the pain of old wounds. Every ounce of bitterness he has carried now pours out in his battle against Lith. A surge of anger erupts from him as he shouts that nothing wounds him more than being treated as merely a substitute for Lita. The pain of his past and the scorn of his father spill out in his outburst. At 18, Lit was assigned the status of classless, a fate that left his father thoroughly disappointed. Meanwhile, Kite ascended to the rank of Paladin, the very same class as their father. For the first time, recognition came his way. Kite considered this well-deserved, and felt a sense of pride swell within him, finally basking in the attention he had long yearned for. Amid the chaos of battle, Lit finally reveals the truth. Despite pouring every ounce of effort into his work, not a single class was granted to him. The classification system cast him aside, leaving behind only a mark and a lingering bitterness. During this confrontation, he finally admits to his jealousy. At the same time, he firmly declares that class is not everything. Even stripped of status, he stands tall, proving that sheer willpower can overcome any restrictions. Lit unleashes the heavenly blade technique, slicing through the air with exquisite precision as a warning that the outcome will remain unchanged. A defiant smile plays on Kite's lips. Even though the odds are against him, retreat is the last thing on his mind. Without warning, he shifts his assault toward the judge, leaving the entire arena stunned. The spectators freeze in disbelief. With a daring grin, the taunt strikes at Litu, forcing him to make a difficult decision right in the heat of battle. Memories of Lit flood Kite's mind, recalling how Lit always lent a helping hand to those in need and forgave others with a gentle heart. A wager is made. Lit will be unable to turn a blind eye to the threat facing the Arbiter. The move is believed to be unstoppable. Suddenly, Talit unleashes the lightning dash technique. Kaito slips out of sight, vanishing from view. Unsure of what to do, Kate glances around as waves of energy detonate nearby, leaving everyone stunned by Lit's sudden assault. With swift precision, Lit envelops his sword in the radiant energy of the celestial blade and counters Kaito's assault in a single flawless motion. Only now does Kaito grasp how narrowly he escaped defeat. A voice from the crowd shouts at Kate, urging him to use his heavenly enhancement if he wants to survive. Power surges through Kate as he unleashes his strength, launching himself at Lita with unrestrained fury. With unwavering focus, Lit readies an attack so powerful that the sheer force tears the earth apart in all directions. A blast-like strike sends Kate soaring from the arena once more, as Lit's power overwhelms him. The judge steps forward and formally declares a knockout. The countdown begins. 10, 9. As the timer steadily ticks away, the onlookers carefully examine Lita's technique. After careful consideration, they realize that he channeled his magic directly into the sword rather than letting it diffuse in the usual way. That very ability granted him the power to shatter Kaita's sacred defense, leaving even the most seasoned spectators astounded. Despite lacking the mage class, Lit demonstrates remarkable command over magic by mimicking spells, astonishing everyone as the countdown draws to a close. One of the instructors observes that Lit possesses a truly unique potential. Lacking a specific class, he displays an impressive ability to adapt and refine his skills, never constrained by the boundaries of any single type. Lith stands in silence, watching as the timer counts down to its final moments. Kate remains outside the arena, unable to make it back in time. Defeat became official as Kaito was hurled from the arena, making this his final appearance. As the timer comes to a halt, Lith is declared the victor. The audience sits in stunned silence, some whispering suspicions that Kite may have simply run away. After the victory, a mysterious man approaches Lita, introducing himself as Julius Argyle. Offering his congratulations, Julius admits he watched the fight with great admiration. Surprise flickers across Lit's face as Julius, with a note of suspicion, points out that despite lacking a designated class, Lit managed to perform a technique reserved for holy knights. The implication hangs in the air. Julius clearly suspects there is more to Lit than meets the eye. The crowd buzzes with animated discussions, while Julius quietly invites Lit for a private conversation. Exhausted and battered, Kate refuses to accept defeat. Despite holding the prestigious rank of Holy Knight, coming to terms with losing to someone without a class remains unbearable for him. Consumed by rage, a new determination takes hold. Greater power now becomes the goal. Defeat is not something he is willing to forgive. Ignoring the formal end of the match, Kite quietly vows revenge. A menacing glare and an intense surge of energy filled the air. Next time, no restraint would hold him back against Lita. As they leave the arena behind, Lit turns to Julius and inquires about the matter he wished to discuss. An explosion of energy suddenly erupts ahead, prompting Lit to spring into action without hesitation. With lightning-fast reflexes, a fireball leaves his hand and blazes toward its target. A knowing smile played on Julius's lips as his suspicions solidified. Lit possessed abilities far beyond what anyone should. A look of confusion crosses his face as he wonders how Lit manages to wield so many techniques from various classes without belonging to any specific one. With curious eyes, he reveals the true reason behind the conversation. The desire to face a formidable opponent burns within him. Wearing an enthusiastic smile, he admits how eagerly he awaits the duel with Leto, then vanishes in a burst of flames, leaving Leto bewildered. Claire of the Central's Order of White Mages launches her assault, sending a powerful blade of wind slicing through the air. Despite the force behind the attack, Fang stands completely motionless, unfazed and unmarred by even the slightest scratch. Claire's devastating magic goes completely unnoticed as Fang stands motionless, unfazed by the assault. The audience sits in stunned disbelief, unable to comprehend how her magic had no effect at all. Without warning, Fang materializes behind Claire, moving so silently that she remains oblivious. He remarks on her lack of focus, pointing out that she becomes too distracted during her assaults. In response, he launches a counterattack. A surge of air erupts, bursting forth and leaving her utterly disoriented. The mysterious man reveals the secret hidden beneath his cloak. The onlookers suddenly recognize him as Claire's adversary. Suspicion grows within her that the cloak absorbs incoming attacks, while voices from the crowd remark on how striking its appearance is. The man calmly clarifies that his ability goes beyond merely absorbing damage. As Claire grapples with the meaning, he calmly declares that the correct answer lies elsewhere. Steeling himself, he prepares to unveil his true power. The man unleashes the dark shadow technique, a swirling sphere cloaked in darkness, dotted with floating eyes, engulfs Claire. She barely manages to react in time. Once the technique is unleashed, solitude surrounds him in the heart of the arena. The crowd watches with growing unease, unable to grasp what has truly happened. Claire is declared out of the arena as the judge begins the countdown. Around the stadium, murmurs ripple through the crowd as everyone discusses the strange black magic they have just witnessed. As the countdown reaches 0, Fang is formally declared the winner, representing the Eastern Order of Black Magicians. Claire reappears, her body giving way as she collapses unconscious to the ground. Astonishment sweeps through the crowd. The judge steps forward to examine her and announces that she has merely fainted. Meanwhile, Fang watches with calm detachment. Removing his ring, he states that in a real fight, he would never let his enemies leave alive. Disdain fills him at the thought of using artifacts like the Ring of Blessing, making it clear that he fights with his life on the line. The crowd recoils in fear, unsettled by his icy demeanor. Meanwhile, the final match of the tournament is announced, with Go stepping into the arena as the first contender. The martial arts master from the Western Order steps into the arena, greeted by a wild eruption of cheers from the crowd. Meanwhile, the identity of his opponent from the Eastern Order remains shrouded in secrecy. At last, the announcement comes. Go's opponent will be Julius Argyle, known as the Sage. Still absent, his delay stirs a restless tension among the waiting crowd. The host tries to confirm his presence while Go mocks him, suggesting that Julius is simply afraid. At last, Julius materializes, floating calmly in the center of the arena, amid swirling fragments of magic. Go watches him intently while Julius offers a quiet apology for making him wait. Striding confidently into the arena, he leaves the crowd stunned with his powerful entrance. A single knight yells in outrage, questioning the immense amount of magic required for such a barrier spell. The duel between Julius and Go commences. Confidence radiated from the Knight of the Western Order, certain that Go, their most skilled warrior, would emerge victorious. Within moments, Julius effortlessly claims victory. The match concluded with an overwhelming victory. After the battle ends, they ask him where he has been. Smiling as he toyed with the magic cube, Julius replied that he was simply having fun. From a distance, Julius watches as Lit, completely alone among the rocks, rests in utter exhaustion. A mysterious smile plays on Julius's lips while he muses to himself that it seems he has discovered a rare new toy. His gaze grows intent as Julius utters Leto's full name, noting that an intriguing confrontation awaits ahead. The host brings the tournament to a dignified close, declaring these battles a true source of inspiration for every spectator in attendance. Thunderous applause fills the arena as the announcement rings out. The semi-finalists for the Empire of Lawrence tournament have been decided. The scoreboard lights up, displaying the quarterfinal winners, Lit, Julius, Fang, and a mysterious contestant whose identity remains hidden. Excitement buzzes through the crowd, thrilled by this lineup. News spreads that the next match is scheduled for 1 week from now. Tension mounts across the arena as word arrives. The king himself will attend. Each semi-finalist stands with a grave expression, fully aware of the weight the upcoming matches carry. Suddenly, an ancient dragon materializes in the middle of the arena, sending the crowd into a frenzy of panic. The narrator, filled with astonishment, confirms the presence of a legendary creature at the tournament. Amid the chaos, a young warrior steps forward, her calm demeanor working to soothe the restless crowd. Recognition flashes in her eyes as she spots the dragon and calls out to him, her voice tinged with reproach at his overly dramatic entrance. Before everyone's eyes, the dragon transforms into a human and bursts into laughter. With a gentle smile, he offers an apology for making such a dramatic entrance. A gentle smile plays on the king's lips as he admits he may have been a touch too dramatic. On the back of a mighty dragon, Richard III, sovereign of the Lawrence Empire, makes his grand entrance. Excitement sweeps through the crowd as the announcer solemnly proclaims the king's arrival. The spectators recognize the creature as the ancient fire dragon, a rare species hailing from the Shadow Continent, notorious for its ferocity and astonishing strength. Legends and mysteries shroud the very nature of its existence. One of the men keeps a watchful eye on the king, his thoughts swirling with intrigue. Only unrivaled strength could ever tame a dragon like him. Somewhere out there, perhaps another seeks to harness such formidable power. The king requests the microphone from the host, who, though flustered, hands it over with a hint of pride. Richard offers a gentle smile, expressing his gratitude to everyone present. With a measured pause, he announces that a matter of great importance must be addressed before the audience. In front of everyone, he poses a question about the true nature of strength. According to him, every participant in the tournament stands as a skilled warrior, yet their true strength lies beyond rankings or title. Real power comes from something far more profound, rooted deep within. The class of a scholar serves as an example. Even with innate talent, years of study and practice are essential. In battle as well, strength is not inherited but forged through effort and determination. As the king's speech carries on, Lit sits alone among the stones, his body weary from exhaustion yet his attention unwavering. The king's words turn to the value of disappointment, remarking that even setbacks spur personal growth. Richard addresses the crowd, acknowledging that disappointment can sting deeply. Yet it is this very thing that reveals a person's true maturity. Recognizing one's own weaknesses marks the beginning of growth. He encourages embracing setbacks, for it is through these challenges that true strength is forged. The king concludes with a stirring message: challenge your own limits. Standing beside the dragon, he radiates authority and confidence, underscoring that true strength lies in overcoming personal boundaries. Constant trials and setbacks forge genuine strength, stirring a desire to reach greater heights. His words resonate deeply with everyone. In conclusion, Richard remarks that everyone possesses inner strength. The choice lies in whether to embrace that power or leave it untapped. The crowd erupts in applause, moved and inspired by his captivating speech. After the speech, everyone remarks on the powerful and moving nature of the king's words. His daughter admits that, despite everything, he truly carries himself like a genuine ruler. Before long, the king turns to the dragon and asks if it is time to return. He announces that the order victorious in the tournament will earn the right to visit the dragon village, the very place where this legendary creature resides. With a heartfelt farewell to everyone, he ascends into the sky atop his dragon, promising to return for the semi-finals the following week. The revelation of his departure and the mention of the dragon village left the group in stunned silence. Interest flickered in their eyes, and for some, thoughts of the mysterious place became suddenly serious. Anticipation for the battles ahead fills Nina, while the man beside her casts a wary glance, suspecting the king of some hidden agenda. Nina turns to ask why her father is present. Meanwhile, preparations for the semifinals steadily move forward. Every participant trains relentlessly, some honing their swordplay, others mastering the art of magic. Each person pursues a unique goal and nurtures personal ambitions, always searching for new ways to grow stronger. The hallways of the arena echoed with the rhythmic clash of training, each sound threading through the tense silence of anticipation. Amid the routine of practice, one of the boys suddenly notices the arrival of the person everyone has been waiting for. The mood shifts in an instant as Lit enters, his intense gaze commanding the focus of everyone present. While the city maintains its calm, two men make their way through the building's corridors. James R. Guile, an officer of the Eastern Order of Knights, moves forward with a focused and resolute expression. Another walks alongside indifferently, idly spinning a cube in his hand. Despite his clear annoyance, he must enter the hall with James, who appears accustomed to this detached attitude. The officers gather around the table, a palpable tension filling the air from the very start. Verbal sparring erupts between James and Reed. While James sips his tea with measured calm, Reed makes no effort to hide his discontent. The host of the meeting overlooks the mounting tension and attempts to steer the conversation toward the agenda. During their meeting, James announces that the Eastern Order's plan has reached a decisive stage. With a steely, determined gaze, he announces the next move, the elimination of King Richard III. James continues his explanation, assuring that everything unfolds according to plan and every element moves right on schedule. The sudden escape of the Holy Knight, though unplanned, failed to disrupt the group's resolve. Every member stands poised, ready to spring into action as the tension in the air intensifies. Throughout the discussion, everyone agrees that the greatest obstacle to the plan is the king himself. His combat strength reaches an exceptional level. A powerful fire dragon stands guard at his side. As long as this fierce creature remains near, he cannot be harmed. James reveals that the king forged a pact with the dragon after they fought side by side in battle. Now the dragon stands as his sworn ally, bestowing a magical shield that wards off every attack. As long as the pact remains intact, the king is regarded as invincible. The group comes to a sobering realization. The king and the dragon, united, form an almost unstoppable force. Not even an entire army would stand a chance against them. Amid the tense discussion, one man searches for any possible solution, but his words are abruptly cut off. An ally steps forward with reassurance, revealing that hope remains. Camilla has devised a new strategy. Camilla enters the hall, greeted warmly and with respect. With calm authority, she invites everyone to take their seats. Some recognize her as Princess Iris's sister, yet Camilla swiftly signals that she has no interest in formalities. The mastermind behind the new strategy against the king and the dragon, Camilla moves with unwavering confidence. Despite some still seeing her as nothing more than Iris's assistant, she remains composed and resolute. When questioned about the plan, she responds with an icy assurance, claiming the idea as her own and insisting she remains in complete control of the situation. Sipping her tea with a composed gaze, Camilla lays out the plan, prompting the others to weigh its merits thoughtfully. Some believe it might actually work, though doubts still linger in their minds. Yet even the skeptics find themselves compelled to listen. As Camilla speaks, Duke Reed approaches with a grave expression. She addresses him calmly, yet suddenly, an unexpected tension fills the air. With a sudden motion, the sword flashes from its sheath and he charges forward, aggression radiating from every step, leaving the entire hall stunned into silence. Raid lunges without warning, toppling the knight and throwing the scene into disarray. An indignant guard snaps to action, his protest sharp. Camilla stands frozen in astonishment, watching as Raid coolly remarks on her dress, his tone sharp and deliberate, as if trying to make a point. This move is meant to erase any lingering doubts for him. Once the incident occurs, someone asks if there are still any weaknesses left in the plan. The answer is straightforward. There are none. Camilla flashes a confident smile, watching as the knight falters. Everything unfolds exactly as she calculated. With a frosty smile, she reveals the true heart of her scheme. Her targets are not the king, but her own sister and father. Camilla declares that their next encounter at the tournament will be their final one. Every move she makes is charged with the dangerous weight of a deeply personal vendetta. Eager anticipation fills the air as everyone awaits the start of the main event. One of the girls steps forward to open the ceremony, her voice brimming with energy as she recounts a legend. Long ago, these lands fell under the rule of demons, who were finally vanquished in a fierce battle by a god. On this very ground, the land of beginnings, the story of the world first took shape, and now it will be home to the grand tournament. The long-awaited day finally arrives, with the arena filled to capacity and excitement buzzing in the air. Eager participants discuss the upcoming battles and the valuable lessons they hope to gain from the experience. Despite earlier defeats, the Western Order of Knights earns respect through unwavering determination. Commander Rachel Radner observes the crowd with quiet pride as officials remind the audience to maintain order. Meanwhile, the Western Order skillfully stirs the excitement of the gathering, keeping the atmosphere charged with anticipation. Meanwhile, Lena Frist, the commander of the Central Order, maintains an icy composure as she directs her subordinates, instructing them to stay focused on the battle. Once Kaito's absence is officially confirmed, the spotlight shifts to the tournament's three most promising contenders. With regal poise, the two princesses step onto the arena, formally announcing their participation. First, Iris Lawrence steps forward, introduced to the audience. Following her, her younger sister Camilla Lawrence is announced. Both sisters walk out with confidence and pride, their heads held high. The moment signals the dawn of something magnificent, and the crowd erupts into enthusiastic applause. Iris walks up to Camilla, concern flickering in her eyes as she recalls her disappearance. Camilla greets her with a wry smirk, teasing that it is quite an honor to be remembered by the future queen. Memories of their father surface for Iris, and she imagines how happy he would be to see her again. However, Camilla's words carry a quiet finality, hinting that such reunions belong to the past. King Richard III steps into the arena, casting a commanding presence over the entire space. A personal envoy from the Kingdom of Lorenz stepped forward, every movement radiating quiet confidence and regal pride. Poised and watchful, Camilla studied him, her gaze cool and contemplative as she weighed her next move. The audience erupts in enthusiastic applause, their eyes following the king with admiration shining in their gaze. Before long, the host, brimming with excitement, announces the start of the next stage, the semi-finals. The contestants are summoned to the arena. The first semi-final set the stage for a fierce showdown between the holy knight Sarah Scott and the wise sage Julius Argyle. Both competitors stood tall and resolute, their faces reflecting unwavering determination as they prepared for the decisive battle ahead. The second semi-final features Fang, the dark mage, facing off against Liet Wellesley, who astonishingly still remains unclassed, yet Liet holds his ground, unwavering and resolute in his determination to prove his worth. Liet steps onto the arena, weary and battered, his wounds casting doubt on his readiness for the semi-finals. At that moment, a mysterious figure steps forward and issues a challenge, confidently declaring that he will never make it to the finals. With unwavering determination in her eyes, Sarah faces Julius and confidently declares her victory over him. Her bold move catches her opponent off guard, yet a steady, confident gaze reveals her unwavering determination to claim victory. A powerful wind sweeps across the arena, leaving everyone astonished. A swirling gust spirals around Julius, growing in strength until its force sweeps across the stands. A sense of anticipation thickens the air as something monumental approaches. A bold smile plays on Julius's lips, radiating utter confidence and thinly veiled contempt. With a decisive motion, the judge signals for the match to begin. Sarah launches herself into battle the instant the match begins, making her strength clear from the very first moment. She speeds toward Julius at full tilt while he remains perfectly still, a faint smile playing on his lips. Magic flares to life in his hands, signaling an imminent counterattack. The battle ignites with a surge of tension. Julius unleashes a powerful magical strike that sends Sarah flying backward. Calmly observing, his hands remain lit with crackling energy. Sarah regains her senses in an instant and lands a direct blow on Julius. The realization dawns that her attack struck nothing more than a lingering afterimage. Just an illusion. Julius suddenly materializes behind them, a laugh escaping his lips as he admits the fight's intensity is truly remarkable. Sarah maintains unwavering focus. Realization dawns that she faces an opponent far more formidable than she ever anticipated. Julius unleashes a mighty surge of magic at Sarah, sending a brilliant flash erupting across the arena. The crowd stands stunned as thick clouds of smoke and surges of energy ripple through the air around them. Confidence radiates from Julius as he calmly observes the scene. Suddenly, Sarah emerges unscathed, slicing through the flames with her holy sword. An intrigued smile spreads across Julius's face, savoring the fresh thrill the battle now promises. In response, he prepares a fresh assault, this time summoning stone spears. When Julius unleashes earth magic, astonishment sweeps through the audience. Whispers ripple through the crowd as they begin to suspect he commands multiple elements, a talent both incredibly rare and perilous. Swift reactions become Sarah's priority, every movement closely observed by the king and the entire arena. With her sacred sword flashing once more, she shatters the stone spears, while Julius watches in silence, quietly weaving a new spell. The battle rages on in tense silence as both fighters display remarkable skill, leaving no room for mistakes. Sarah makes another attempt to wield her sword, yet quickly notices her strikes have no effect. Disappointment washes over her as the realization dawns. None of her strength reaches Julius, who calmly endures her every blow. Memories paint Julius standing in the forge, handing over magical stones to the master craftsman. Within this collection rest minerals embodying fire, earth, water, wind, thunder, and darkness. He requested the creation of an artifact capable of uniting all these elements, giving rise to his art that weaves together multiple forces of nature. Julius explains his preference for something more exciting than an ordinary item, seeking an amusing object that promises enjoyment with every use. The blacksmith receives a meticulous blueprint of the artifact, every detail carefully marked for reference. The commentator notes that although Julius possesses remarkable genius, victories and defeats mean little to him. What truly matters is the excitement of the challenge, and Sarah stands out as the perfect rival for such a spectacle. Returning to the fray, Julius rotates the magical cube, triggering a fresh wave of spells. Elemental torrents swirl around them, yet Sarah strides forward with unwavering confidence. With agile movements, she slips past each attack, displaying remarkable endurance and unwavering composure. Meanwhile, Julius smoothly shifts between elements, effortlessly taking control while Sarah finds herself in a difficult position. Whispers ripple through the crowd, filled with doubt about whether she can possibly defeat someone who commands every element. Even the seasoned mages acknowledge the remarkable talent these newcomers possess. Lit watches the scene unfold in silence. Julius spots an opening and closes in on Sarah, readying a direct blow. She tries to respond, but the moment has already slipped away. Panic sweeps through the crowd as the situation grows dire for Sarah. Julius effortlessly traps her and mocks the outcome with a satisfied smirk. With a bold tone, he inquires about the sudden disappearance of her determination. A provocative smile flickers across his face as he remarks that ending the fight so easily would lack excitement. Sarah remains silent, her efforts focused on preserving her dignity. Yet just when all hope seems lost, Sarah unexpectedly turns the tide. Determination burns in her eyes as she declares that Julius has just lost his chance to claim victory. Her unwavering spirit shines through, showing she remains unbroken. The king watches the battle intently, deeply impressed by the knight's remarkable strength of character. Eyes closed in deep focus, Sarah draws energy inward, standing tall and unwavering. A fresh surge of power pulses from her form as she steadies herself for the breakthrough ahead. Suddenly, dozens of swords materialize in the air around her, hovering midair under the guidance of her magic. The audience sits in stunned silence, unable to fathom how she managed to unleash such power. In an instant, the mood in the arena shifts as the battle enters an unpredictable new phase. Sarah stands firmly as swords swirl around her, poised to strike at any moment. These are no mere illusions. Each one is a genuine divine blade. A knowing smile spreads across Julius's face as he realizes he is finally facing a true threat. Sarah unleashes her technique, sending swords spinning in a mesmerizing dance around Julius. Carefully preparing a precise strike, she catches her opponent off guard, prompting him to admit for the first time that he had underestimated her strength. The crowd marvels as a single festive weapon splits seamlessly into 6 gleaming swords. A satisfied smile plays on Julius's lips, a silent nod to the progress on display. Immersed in the heat of battle, the world around him fades as the intensity of the contest consumes his every thought. With unwavering determination, Sarah charges straight ahead, wielding one of her swords for a frontal assault. Julius watches her every move intently, trying to decipher the strategy behind her bold approach. In the blink of an eye, a stone wall rises before him, thrown together from shards that still swirl through the air. At that moment, Sarah breaks through, directing all her swords in perfect synchrony, and together they pierce the defense. A torrent of razor-sharp blades bursts forth, a surprise maneuver that catches Julius completely off guard. The sight of Sarah approaching, surrounded by swords spinning at a breathtaking speed, fills him with open admiration. In response, Julius conjures a colossal tornado of fire, forcing Sarah to retreat. Swords whirl fluidly around her, transforming the holy blade technique into a seamless blend of offense and defense. Calmly, she explains that brute strength alone will never secure victory. With unwavering conviction, she crafted this strategy and now readies herself for a decisive move. Sarah unleashes her ultimate technique, summoning a whirlwind of blade-like petals swirling around her. Gliding through the air with agile grace, she closes in on her opponent. Julius watches warily, sensing that the momentum has shifted entirely in her favor. The moment the technique ends, brilliant light floods the arena. As the radiance fades away, Julius is nowhere to be seen. Confused glances sweep across the crowd as everyone searches for him, including the organizers, who struggle in vain to track him down. Suddenly, he reappears without a single scratch, astounding everyone with his lightning-fast movements. Sarah notices that only one of the 6 swords remains. Julius spins his artifact in his hand, a sly smile playing on his lips, and taunts the others by proclaiming that he still has plenty of tricks up his sleeve. Enthralled by the thrill of battle, Julius unleashes a new spell, announcing with a confident smile that the second round is about to begin. Another swordswoman finds herself facing an unexpected danger in the arena. The audience leans forward, their eyes fixed on Julius as they wait to see his next move. With an unusual motion, his hand rises, leaving everyone bewildered. Someone in the crowd suspects a provocation. Suddenly, a towering stone golem emerges into view. The swordswoman steps back, startled by his sheer power and imposing stature, yet quickly regains her composure and readies herself for the impending battle. Towering over 20 meters tall, a colossal creature steps into the arena, leaving the crowd awestruck by its arrival. The golem's strength and magical radiance hold everyone in place, as waves of destructive energy radiate from his form. Some recognize within this the true power of a sage, while others are simply captivated by the awe-inspiring nature of the monstrous being. The swordswoman's gaze sharpens as the golem lumbers forward, its heavy steps echoing across the arena. The commentator explains that, while these golems may move slowly, their immense strength makes them a common asset for armies in actual combat. With unwavering confidence, the swordswoman strikes true, her blade cleaving through stone as if it were nothing, unfazed by the looming danger. Despite its imposing size, she insists it is nothing more than a stone doll, unable to compare with the attack power wielded by the holy knights. With a burst of speed, Sarah surges forward, dispatching the golem with a flurry of precise strikes. The crowd erupts in admiration, awed by her undeniable prowess as a holy knight. Taking command of the fight, she brings an even greater air of unpredictability to the battle. After the golem's defeat, Sarah made her way over to Julius and asked him directly why he continued to fight from a distance. She accuses him of holding back, implying that his true strength remains hidden beneath the surface. Julius watches her in silence. Then a faint smile tugs at his lips as he teases her by calling her a doll. With a curious glint in his eyes, he asks if she has ever heard the legend of the Fire Titan. Without waiting for a reply, he launches into his own story. Sarah, watching him closely, realizes with a hint of surprise that he deftly sidesteps her accusations. Julius paints a picture of Sutep as a force of devastation from ancient times, a being who once razed entire cities and spread suffering, reducing all in its path to ashes. This titan emerged as the very embodiment of the world's end, a true symbol of the apocalypse. He confesses that, despite its destructive nature, he has always admired this creature. Sarah remains puzzled, unable to grasp his meaning. With a smile, Julius explains that this very passion inspired him to use magic to create what cannot be found in the real world. His greatest delight lies in shaping the impossible into reality. The journey began with the golem, yet it soon became clear that reaching the power of the Fire Titan required flames of his own. Drawing upon the forces of earth and fire, Julius forged something truly unique, a pinnacle of his own mastery. With absolute certainty, the declaration comes. Sarah is the perfect opponent for this creature. The final weapon is summoned, the Fire Titan. A creature bursts onto the arena, splitting the ground as flames sweep across the field. The true battle begins. The Titan assumes its ultimate form, Muspel, as flames burn fiercely around its monstrous body. He launches an attack with overwhelming force, splitting the ground beneath him. Sarah staggers back, stunned by the sheer intensity of his power. Panic sweeps through the crowd as everyone recognizes the sheer scale of the impending danger. Sarah moves in closer, but Muspel unleashes a swirling vortex of fire. The attack lands with such speed and force that she is compelled to leap back abruptly. An explosion surges across the arena, sending even the spectators scrambling for cover. Flames surge across the arena in a sweeping wave, sending terror through the crowd. The commentator, voice quivering with disbelief, announces that Julius has summoned the legendary Fire Titan, an event never before witnessed. The audience sat in stunned silence, mastering two elements at once, a feat rarely seen even among the wisest sages, hardly compared to the true marvel, his boundless imagination. Julius gazes at his creation with pride, his satisfaction unmistakable. Among the crowd, a spectator admits the display of power is truly impressive. Unwilling to be outdone, Sarah summons the holy sword and drives it forward, her powerful strike piercing the Titan's form. In the face of danger, unwavering determination propels her forward as she launches a swift and precise assault. With a direct blow, her strike pierces Muspel's chest. Relief and determination wash over her face as the Titan begins to crumble. Sarah delivers a crushing blow, convinced it will be fatal. Yet the Titan reacts in an unexpected way, its behavior suddenly shifting. The audience watches in horror as Muspel's body swiftly regenerates. Julius calmly explains that Muspel shifts his form like molten magma, rendering all physical attacks useless. While Sarah contemplates how to stand her ground against him, the Titan unleashes his next assault, hurling a rain of stone spears from above. Spears pierce through Saru, sending her crashing to the ground, wounded and dazed. Muspel presses forward with renewed fury, while the audience watches in breathless anticipation. Struggling to her feet, Sarah sways unsteadily, barely able to stand. Muspel launches himself at her, putting his full weight behind the leap, determined to land a finishing blow. The crowd, sensing the danger, cries her name in desperate support. At the final moment, Sarah tries to leap away, yet the blow lands faster than she can react as the Flame Titan strikes with perfect accuracy. Pain tears a scream from her lips as the weight of the beast crushes her. The crowd freezes in stunned silence, watching the fiery creature stand in the center of the arena, unwavering and ruthless. Despite her injuries, Sarah refuses to give in, holding tightly to her dream of victory and joining the royal guard. In the anxious crowd, a spectator pleads for her to forfeit, deeply worried for her safety. Julius, on the other hand, appears bored, a cruel smile playing on his lips as he declares the battle over. With a chilling tone, he utters a brief farewell. Fixing Julius Chun with a steady gaze, Sarah replies, declaring the game over and turning his provocation back on him with a touch of irony. Following the divine revelation, she ascended to a high rank, altering the entire course of the battle. The young woman made up her mind to join the Central Order, an institution renowned for its many female members. Her unwavering resolve earned her a place among the new recruits. Throughout training, she consistently outperforms her opponents, astonishing everyone with her remarkable strength. Even as a newcomer, her talent gleams. The audience watches, captivated by her determination and drive to reach the top. In the wake of the Titan's relentless assault, the knight becomes trapped beneath the collapsing debris, her anguished cry echoing across the arena. The crowd seethed with panic as anxious whispers rippled through the masses, voices trembling with fear that the situation was spiraling beyond anyone's control. The enemy's overwhelming power turns the tide, and as Julius seizes hold of Sarah, the situation teeters on the edge of disaster. Раптово з'являється лицар Центрального ордену. З рішучим поглядом він наказує негайно відпустити Сару. Якщо Джуліус відмовиться, доведеться зіткнутись із усією міцю ордену. Julius feigns submission, promising to set her free. Keen-eyed observers notice a concealed motive lurking behind his calm exterior. A laugh slips from his lips as he reveals his true intention. There is no plan to stop. Calling upon even greater forces, he intensifies the challenge and incites those around him. A surge of panic sweeps through the remaining knights as they rush to rescue Sarah. But the grim realization dawns that they might be too late. Chaos erupts across the battlefield, swallowing order and reason. At that moment, a young man bursts into the arena, dagger in hand, determination blazing in his eyes as he prepares to take action. The audience falls silent, some whispering under their breath. "Father?" Gradually, surprise dawns on their faces as they recognize Lita Wellesley, Sarah's personal bodyguard. Lit hurtles fearlessly through the flames, making a beeline for the Fire Titan. The onlookers watch in breathless anticipation, some faces lighting up with excitement. Meanwhile, Sarah crashes to the ground once more. Blood stains her skin, her strength nearly gone, each breath a struggle. In the nick of time, Lit rushes forward, scooping Sarah into his arms and pulling her out from beneath the rubble. Relief and gratitude shine in her eyes as she gazes up at her savior. Standing firm and resolute, he prepares to shield her from harm. With precise movements, Lit sets his sights on the heart of the Titan. With a single precise strike, the creature falls. The crowd erupts, stunned into silence and awe. Disbelief washes over Julius as he witnesses his creation collapse, while Lit stands firm, cradling Sarah gently in his arms. Relieved to find her alive, he intends to carry her straight to the healers. However, embarrassment floods Sarah, and she quietly asks him to set her down. Though convinced she is too heavy, Lit insists her injuries are what matter most. Head bowed in regret, Sarah offers a quiet apology for her defeat. Lit meets her gaze calmly, his eyes free of judgment. Saru is rushed to the healers without delay. They immediately employ ice magic to stabilize her wounds. The severity of her condition quickly becomes apparent, far worse than anyone initially suspected. Lit stands silently nearby as she whispers his name, her voice barely audible, urging him to win. Resolute and focused, he moves forward, determination clear in every step. Lying on the stretcher, Sarah cannot hold back her tears. A single drop traces her cheek, revealing a silent ache and the depth of her disappointment. With a hint of sadness, she admits defeat. Her true dream surfaces, joining the royal knights side by side with Leto. The crowd of nobles praises the young man for his bravery, yet Lit appears uneasy. His actions stemmed from a different motivation. Iris trembles with emotion, surprising even her own father. Iris's father admits with pride that he has seldom witnessed his daughter so deeply moved. The intensity of this battle left a mark on everyone present, touching even the most reserved onlookers. Amidst the bustling crowd, a woman playfully mentions that her daughter has brought home a young man as a prospective suitor. A gentle laugh escapes while fondly calling Lita a troublemaker, yet genuine appreciation for his worth shines through. As the scene widens, the camera pulls back to reveal the devastated arena, still echoing the aftermath of a fierce battle. The scene unfolds amidst devastation. Julius casts a scornful look at Lit, his annoyance clear after having his moment of pleasure so abruptly ruined. Fury ignites in Lit as he demands an explanation, wanting to know why the attack on Sarah was carried out with such cruelty. Tension mounts between them as Lit braces for an attack on Julius, poised and ready to engage in battle. From the stands, the tournament organizer raised his voice, demanding an immediate halt. The crowd froze, anticipation holding them in its grip. His impulsive act threatens to break the rules. One of the organizers quickly steps in, skillfully diffusing the situation before it can escalate. The official announcement declared that Julius had been removed from the upcoming match. Should Lit decide to attack, both competitors would face disqualification. Tension lingers in the air, yet the authorities strive to maintain order. A distinguished knight approaches and firmly instructs Julius to stand down. The next battle does not belong to him, but the knight promises that a chance for revenge will come again. Julius walks in silence, weighed down by the forceful order, contempt flickering in his eyes. In the corridor, someone calls out to Lit, hinting that regardless of how the battle ended, their paths were always meant to cross. Whether victory or defeat awaits them, their paths are destined to cross. The outcome has already been sealed. Lit meets the challenge with unwavering resolve, eyes flashing with fierce determination. The crowd erupts in outrage, their voices rising as they accuse Fang of attacking Sarah. The next semi-final battle is announced. The enigmatic dark mage Fang faces off against the unconventional classless contender Lita. The arena remains cloaked in ruins, yet the next battle is about to begin. Before the clash, Fang approaches Lit to deliver a warning. Pour every ounce of strength into the fight. Without waiting for a reply, the referee signals for the match to begin. Tension surges through the air instantly. As the battle begins, Lit is confronted by an unexpected menace when a shadowy creature launches a sudden attack. Born from Fang's dark magic, the demonic wolf launches a relentless assault. Fear sweeps through the onlookers as Fang issues a challenge. Decipher the deadly pattern in the beast's strikes. Amidst deflecting relentless attacks, Lit suddenly faces a new threat descending from the sky. The danger grows, revealing itself to be far greater than it first appeared. With unwavering focus, he launches a counterattack, channeling his magical technique known as Stone Hand. A massive hand erupts from the ground, seizing the wolf in its iron grip. The unexpected blow shifts the course of the battle. Seizing the opportunity, Lit leaps onto the demonic wolf and strikes with all his might. The sight leaves the audience stunned. Wolf struggles to resist, yet the blow proves too powerful. His strength begins to fade away. Fang studies the situation intently before engaging in a fierce exchange of words. His words reveal that Lit unleashed the Stone Fist, a technique born from the earth element. This confession brings to light a truth that no one was prepared to face. Attention centers on a startling revelation. Until now, Lita had been seen as classless. Yet in the midst of battle, Fang shifts focus and unveils shocking new information. News of Royal Guard Zack's disappearance during the mission spread quickly. 3 had set out together: Zack, the magic swordsman Larg, and the classless Lit. The revelation left everyone around them stunned. Fang recounts his investigation at the spot where Zack vanished, describing fragments of shattered stone and scorch marks left behind by fire magic, clear evidence of a fierce battle. Examining the evidence, he concludes that Zack had fought before his disappearance. Recognizing the same techniques in Liet, Fang openly accuses him of copying Zack's fighting style. Chang presents footage from Liet's previous battles, highlighting his mastery of the divine sword and impressive command of stone magic. Every opponent seemed to share Zack's features. It also comes to light that Lit was present at the location where the guard disappeared, despite not officially belonging to any class. Fang concludes the hypothesis, suggesting that there might be a link between Lit and Zack's disappearance. Eye to eye, Fang levels a direct accusation, demanding to know whether the other is involved in the guardsman's disappearance. The question is posed to Lita, asking whether he possesses the ability to steal or replicate the techniques of others. Lita remains silent, his expression betraying both surprise and uncertainty. Neither affirmation nor denial comes, and tension in the arena continues to intensify with every heartbeat. The commentator marvels aloud, wondering if this young man truly has the power to absorb and master abilities beyond his own. The honorable inspectors appear astonished. Even Julius watches in silence, suspicion flickering in his eyes. Never before had anything like this been seen. Whispers of Lita spread rapidly, stirring a powerful reaction throughout the community. Many people find it hard to accept that someone without a class could possess such remarkable power. Silent and watchful, his father begins to suspect that Lit may have inherited a unique ability. Whispering to himself, he pondered the truth. Lit possessed mysterious abilities beyond anyone's understanding. An ambitious aristocrat boldly steps forward, suggesting himself as the next heir to the Duke's family. The unexpected proposal sends a ripple of shock through everyone present. From a distance, Lit watches quietly, uncertain of where fate will lead him next. Preparations continue, yet realization dawns that the opponent is already aware of his possible ability. Fang presses on with the pointed question about how he acquires the abilities of others. The tension in the room intensifies. Caught off guard, Lit stands speechless, unable to find an answer. Fang launches a surprise attack, darting forward with lightning speed and unleashing a relentless barrage of strikes. The seriousness of intention becomes unmistakable. Lit struggles to defend, barely managing to keep pace with the relentless attacks of his opponent. Snapping out of his daze, he switches to the offensive. Each strike lands with sharp precision and lightning speed, refusing to give any ground. The battle evens out as both fighters showcase their skill in close combat. Yet Fang seizes control once more, pressing his opponent with a relentless series of calculated strikes. Observers note that, even with the power to copy abilities, defeating Fang will prove difficult. His experience as a strategist gives him an additional edge. Blow after blow drains Lit's strength. Searching for a way to turn the tide, he calls forth a pack of demonic wolves. Fang attempts to fend off the assault, yet soon finds himself ensnared by the beast's coordinated tactics. Even a strategist like him now struggles under the mounting pressure. Despite everything, Fang turns the tide by pinning Liet to the ground, restraining him completely with unwavering strength. Despite his injuries, Lit struggles on, determined to resist. At this point in the fight, however, his opponent clearly surpasses him in both skill and stamina. Even from the ground, Lit reacts in a flash, summoning a blazing spear that drives straight through Fang's armor with a forceful strike. The enemy reels from an unexpected counterattack, clear proof that Lita still has the strength to continue the fight. Seizing the opportunity, Lit lands a direct blow to his opponent's face. The mask shatters under the force, and the crowd stands stunned. Fire magic and demonic wolves now make up his formidable arsenal. Following a successful strike, Lit locks eyes with Fang, who silently acknowledges the counterattack's impressive execution. The power of summer commands respect, compelling those around him to acknowledge his strength. Fang recognizes his remarkable skill in wielding magic from an array of different attributes. According to him, the duel would have ended long ago if Lit had unleashed the divine sword. Fang expresses gratitude for the thrilling contest, describing it as a true spectacle. At the same time, a suspicion arises that Lit is still hiding something, and perhaps he holds even stronger cards up his sleeve. Suddenly, a new and enigmatic technique awakens. Dark energy swirls while eyes hover in midair. Even Lit finds himself astonished by the magnitude of his own power. The referee brings the match to a close as a new ability activates, beginning the final countdown. As the countdown continues, the crowd gradually becomes aware that Lit is missing from the arena. The judge declares that Lit has become ensnared by his own spell, a trap from which there is no escape. Floating weightlessly in utter darkness, Lit instantly grasps the peril of the situation. Brimming with determination, his grip tightens on the divine sword as he attempts to tear open the very fabric of space around him. Yet even the mightiest sword proves useless, as the emptiness swallows every attempt to break free. The enemy reveals the truth. This area drains away all life force, leaving no hope for escape. Time ticks away as a warning reaches Lit. Resistance is useless. Outside, people are already discussing the hopelessness of his situation. Among the knights, one remains convinced that an escape from this magical prison is still possible. Leona affirms that Julius is under her command and assures everyone she will personally oversee his reformation. Meanwhile, Sarah has received assistance and is now out of danger. A wave of unease sweeps over the assembly as Leona calmly explains that there are two ways to avoid the dark trap. The first is the magic of light, a force that stands in stark contrast to darkness and has the power to break through barriers. Since Lit still hadn't managed to escape, it became clear he didn't possess this kind of magic. The crowd watched the countdown unfold, tension growing with every passing moment. As Leona prepares to reveal the second method, the entire room falls silent, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Her voice explained the second escape: spatial magic, a power capable of slicing through the very fabric of space itself. While this method proves effective, everyone agrees that mastery over spatial magic is a rare gift, and it is unlikely that Lit counts among those few. The countdown nears its final moments. Everyone is certain Lit has been defeated. Commentators suggest that even with mastery over spatial magic, the strength required to activate it would have been beyond his limits. Fang scoffs, dismissing Lit as useless and pointing to the limitations faced by those without a class. Yet Iris stands her ground, her gaze unwavering. Refusing to accept this ending, determination radiates from her eyes. At the very last moment, a shadowy wolf emerges behind Fang, lunging at him with wild, fierce energy. The entire crowd stood in stunned silence as Lit burst forth from the shadows, wielding the power of dark magic to launch an immediate counterattack. The demonic wolf lunges at Fang, yet the sudden arrival of Lit leaves the crowd speechless. Despite bleeding and battered, the enemy struggles to hold his ground, only for the shadow beast to shatter his defenses completely. A wave of horror washes over Fang as realization dawns. Lit had managed to imitate his signature technique during their previous clash. While Fang struggles to grasp the unfolding situation, Lit moves forward with unwavering determination to finish off the enemy. With a decisive strike, Lit claims victory, bringing the battle to an end. Fang collapses unconscious before a stunned audience, their disbelief growing as the victory of the classless fighter sinks in. Lit emerges onto the battlefield accompanied by a fearsome demon wolf, every eye turning to witness his triumph as he defeats the enemy with the very weapon that was meant to destroy him. The crowd erupts with emotion as the commentator declares Lit's triumphant return. Among the girls, one prays fervently for Lita, declaring how impressive he is. Without missing a beat, Iris makes it clear that she has no intention of letting anyone else have him. With a playful grin, Camilla suggests they share a guard, pointing out that Iris already has more than enough. A mysterious smile plays on Iris's lips as she holds her ground. One of the men remarks with dry irony on the closeness the sisters share. Camilla watched with unwavering confidence, certain that with Leto under her control, her plan would unfold exactly as intended. Meanwhile, Lit, utterly spent, lies motionless as medical staff rush to Sarah's aid. The crowd marvels at his endurance, still reeling from his hard-fought victory over Fang. Despite her injuries, Sarah fights to stay strong, though the pain draws quiet complaints from her lips. The doctors urge silence, solemn faces betraying the gravity of her condition. Meanwhile, Lit recalls the risk he took imitating his opponent's technique, a desperate gamble without any promise of success. Even Fang silently admits it was just a matter of bad luck for him. Lit's unwavering determination gave him the upper hand. The judge formally announces the end of the match. Fang has been taken out of commission. The announcement declared Lit as the victor, drawing every gaze and capturing the spotlight now fixed solely on him. A portion of the crowd erupts in wild excitement, while others watch in stunned silence, unable to believe what they are witnessing. The judges and the crowd announce Lita as a finalist. Despite his exhaustion, he accepts their recognition with quiet pride. As Fang's defeated form is carried away on a stretcher, applause and cheers rise up to celebrate Lit's victory. One of the onlookers dismisses Fang's performance, remarking that it came across as staged. Fang hurried to defend himself, claiming he wasn't an actor, yet James only smirked and teased that the stage would suit him perfectly. Lit basks in the euphoria of victory. his spirits soaring with celebration, while from a distance, James coldly watches in silence and offers a somber remark. In his view, this would be the last time Lit could savor victory so joyfully, as something far darker awaited on the horizon. Although Lit breathes a sigh of relief, an uneasy premonition lingers within him. A reminder comes his way. The next battle will be against Julius in the finals. The words Julius spoke linger in his mind. "We'll fight, whether we win or lose." That phrase unsettles him, stirring up a quiet sense of unease that refuses to fade. Out of nowhere, Duke Lade Wellesley, the former commander of the Eastern Knights, emerges into view. The sudden arrival of the Duke stirs a tide of suspicion, hinting at major developments on the horizon. Whispers fill the air. The rumor had long been that the Duke had severed all ties with Leto. The crowd's gaze follows his every movement with unbroken intensity. One simple gesture from him draws the collective focus of all present, sparking a wave of curiosity that ripples through the onlookers. The entire room falls silent as Duke Lade boldly declares in front of everyone that Lit is his son. Lit stands frozen in disbelief, while the Duke's face radiates with pride. This revelation stirs up a storm of confusion and curiosity about Lide's true intentions. While the audience reels in shock, interest shifts to his past role as the leader of the Eastern Knights. The task of defending the kingdom of Lawrence from the monsters lurking in the Black Zone fell to their order. His sudden return arouses suspicion, since he once claimed to have severed all ties with Leet. Tension builds as no one can discern the true purpose behind his reappearance. In the midst of the clash with the catastrophic-level monster known as Dark Venom, fear gripped both warriors and mages, leaving them immobilized. Just when defeat seemed certain, Lade Wesley turned the tide of the battle. That legendary feat marked the pinnacle of his career, continuing to inspire awe and admiration even now. Even after leaving the knightly order, he remained a lasting symbol of strength and heroism. With unwavering determination, Lade vanquished the Dark Venom, a dreadful monster that had long terrorized the borderlands. From that moment on, he set out to vanquish even more fearsome creatures, steadily building his legend as an invincible hero. In the Eastern region, Lade rose to prominence as a true military hero. His reputation as a savior endures in the hearts and memories of the people. Time and again, his arrival on the battlefield turned the tide of war, bringing salvation to hundreds who might otherwise have perished. Among the grateful stands a man with a scar across his forehead, someone the Duke once rescued. In his eyes, Lade is far more than just a knight, a true savior. The Duke approaches Lith and quietly rests a hand on his shoulder. Lith lowers his gaze, deeply moved. Spoken words prove unnecessary as the powerful gesture of a father says it all. For the first time in public, Lade offers words of praise to his son. A quiet, "You did well, Light," slips from his lips. A surge of mixed feelings, surprise mingling with a gentle, restrained warmth, fills the air. The impossible has finally come to pass. The crowd murmurs about this gesture of reconciliation, yet whispers soon spread, recalling the rumors that Lita had been cast out of the family. Upon hearing this, a frown flickers across Lade's face before a booming laugh escapes his lips, brushing aside any mention of exile. Summers, he likens to metal, needing to be forged and hammered time and again before gaining true strength and resilience. Everything that had happened was just another part of the training. Lade firmly believed that only pain and hardship could forge a true warrior. This tradition binds every knight. A journey walked alone is the only true test of those worthy to join the royal guard. With pride shining in his eyes, the Duke announces that his son, having endured this journey, now possesses the strength to protect Princess Iris. The words stun everyone present, including the princess herself. The Duke hails him as a symbol of national pride, describing his achievements as a tremendous honor for the entire country. With each repetition, the Duke seems determined to emphasize the true magnitude of this recognition. Light receives the title of a knight, deemed worthy to protect the kingdom of Lawrence. The crowd erupts in applause, and Iris matches their enthusiasm with spirited excitement. Before the assembled crowd, the Duke solemnly declares that it is time for Litu to return to the Wesley family. Among the crowd, a few faces betray a flicker of doubt, uncertain if this is all just a show, a cunning act meant for the public. Lit stands lost, unable to grasp his father's true intentions. Bewilderment fills his eyes as he glances at the Duke, who returns the look with calm, calculated assurance. Tension lingers in the air between them. Lit admits that despite everything, he has always admired his father. The Duke observes him in silence, a faint smile playing on his lips. Meanwhile, hidden in the shadows, the knight grips someone's hand tightly. Behind the facade of this family scene, something far darker appears to be taking shape. As the father performs his role before the audience, a storm brews out of sight, promising more than merely routine training. Across the training grounds, Duke Lade commands attention with his dignified presence, embodying both respect and strength before his soldiers. During training sessions, he launches fierce attacks, displaying both the precision of a master swordsman and raw, unyielding strength. With just a few swift strikes, Lade defeats every opponent, effortlessly demonstrating the strength and leadership that have earned him so much respect. Surrounded on all sides, he effortlessly brings his opponents to the ground with a single, powerful movement. The audience watches in awe, every one of his movements commanding respect and filling the air with quiet reverence. Concealed in the cool shadows of the trees, Lit observes his father's every motion with unwavering attention, determined to commit each detail to memory. Alone, he diligently practices the moves, pouring his entire focus and dedication into replicating each strike. From early childhood, Lit longed to become a holy knight, just like his father. This passion shaped the purpose of his life and guided his every step until he finally earned recognition. Years of dedicated training, inspired by Lid's example, had finally borne fruit, earning him well-deserved praise. The Duke extends his hand to his son, his gesture filled with unwavering confidence and commanding authority. Overwhelmed by emotion and surprise, Lit gazes silently at his father, fully aware of the significance of the moment. This is the recognition he has sought his entire life. Standing before his father in the crowd, he tries to speak, yet the weight of his emotions stifles his voice. Under Lid's watchful gaze, Lit finally gathers the courage to speak. Doubt flickers in his eyes. Despite receiving recognition, an undercurrent of uncertainty lingers within him. Raising his gaze, he surprises everyone in the room. With unwavering resolve, declares the decision to never return to the Vesley house. The rejection was clear and unwavering. Lit stands firm, choosing his own path. The crowd watches in astonishment, while the Duke studies his son with intense concentration. Yet again, Lit stands firm, repeating the refusal without a trace of hesitation. Silence hangs heavily between them as everyone watches father and son stand face to face, locked in a wordless standoff. The commentator observes the heavy, oppressive mood that hangs in the air. The Duke lowers his head and mutters something enigmatic under his breath. Although his words remain unclear, the undertone of deeper intentions is unmistakable. Gazing at the vibrant city in full bloom, Lit senses a subtle wrongness lurking beneath the surface of this world. At that moment, a distinguished man stealthily snatches food from a merchant and assaults a woman, all while loudly proclaiming his noble status. This scene strikes a chord, deepening Lita's simmering outrage at the injustice before her. While the arrogant scoundrel tries to justify himself, Lit steps forward to shield the wounded girl. A man coldly declares that the strong are entitled to take from the weak, insisting that this is the natural order of things. Lit challenges this logic, questioning why society accepts it as normal. The crowd hesitates, uncertainty written on their faces. Some quietly begin to agree with this so-called truth. The indifferent eyes of the guards only highlight the deep divisions that Lit is determined to change. Another justification emerges. Some claim that 2,000 years ago, these lands teemed with monsters, and it was the aristocrats who staked their lives to bring safety and order. It is said the power now in their hands comes as a reward for their past achievements. The nobleman continues to justify inequality, insisting that commoners are nothing more than slaves. Lit listens in silence, deeply struck by the cruelty in those words. Lid's words ripple through the crowd, stirring a tide of discontent. People refuse to believe themselves slaves, and reject the twisted reality forced upon them by those in power. Commoners rise to their feet, declaring that the kingdom exists because of their work. They grow the food, sew the clothes, and build the cities. Their hands form the strength that supports everything. Rage surges within Lit as he loses control. His voice rises, shouting that his father is completely wrong. He declares that there should be no higher or lower classes. A person's worth is not measured by their social status. In that moment, he completely severs ties with Lid's ideals. Breathless and determined, Lit declares that every class is a blessing from the gods, bestowed by the oracle. Even his lack of a class holds its own special significance. The words leave everyone stunned, from the Duke to the princess. Lit reveals the pain he carries and his unwavering belief in the purpose of his own destiny. Memories of being cast out from home come flooding back, followed by desperate attempts to find work. Yet, everywhere he turned, his status as a classless outcast brought only cold indifference and harsh humiliation. The gaze of strangers began to unsettle him. Eyes followed him with a cold indifference, treating him as if he were nothing more than discarded refuse, unworthy of notice or concern. In moments of loneliness and despair, his spirit nearly broke. Beneath the cold rain, the world appeared hostile and unwelcoming. Drenched to the bone, he yearned to escape the city, burdened by the feeling that he was nothing more than a weight on the world. Suddenly, a woman from the guild approached and recognized him. Her unexpected concern caught him off guard. She offers a warm drink and urges perseverance. Her support becomes an unexpected light breaking through the darkness. Though officially unemployed, she announces an urgent task that has just arisen and invites him to step up to the challenge. She placed her trust in him, something he had desperately needed. Yet after her confession, everything began to change. A sneer spreads across Lade's face as mocking laughter escapes him, the whole situation striking him as nothing more than a ridiculous joke. He dismisses his son's story as pointless chatter, declares that a class holds no value unless it has been recognized by God. This emphasizes that the power of the classes is absolute, an unchanging law that governs the world. Lit stands uncertain, words caught on his lips but never spoken. Deep respect for his father weighs on him, yet the path back to him remains out of reach. The idea that Lide might enslave him upon discovering the truth about his powers fills him with dread. Driven by fear, he chooses a different path. Lide directs his gaze toward Lit and remarks that he does not judge him. On the contrary, he finds the situation rather intriguing. Meanwhile, Leonia quietly admires the boy's courage. Leonie's father nods in agreement, observing that she and Lit share the same way of thinking. Shock holds Camilla in its grip, leaving her uncertain how to respond. In that same instant, Lade launches a fierce attack on Lit, unleashing his full strength. Lit springs into action without hesitation, and the fierce clash between father and son ignites once more with renewed intensity. The confrontation escalates, growing more dangerous as earlier words prove futile. Lit narrowly evades the powerful blow and manages to block it with great difficulty. Every motion weighs heavily on him, pressing down with relentless force. Driven by determination, he stands ready to fight until the very end, refusing to let fear hold him back. At the critical moment, Lit launches a lightning-fast strike that knocks the weapon from Lid's grasp before he can even react. The crowd falls silent, frozen in disbelief. Breathless and stunned, Lit struggles to comprehend his own victory. The outcome took even him by surprise. Lade wonders aloud when his son mastered such a technique. Lit explains he learned it 2 years ago simply by watching his father. The Duke acknowledges Lit's dedication and the progress he has made through his training. Offering a brief word of praise, nonetheless, he points out that there is still much ahead. Lade disrupts the moment, remarking that Liet's way of thinking still lacks maturity. Without offering full acknowledgement, Lade turns away and leaves, wearing a calm yet distant expression. The Duke turns away, quietly implying that someday his son will understand, even if he cannot agree with him now. He admits that Lita still has much growing up to do, and that one day she will see the world from a different perspective. With these words, the young man lapses into silence. Exhausted and overwhelmed, he collapses to the ground in front of everyone, still reeling from the shock of what has just occurred. At that moment, the system unveils a new class, Holy Knight. An air of astonishment sweeps through everyone present. Lit recalls the days when he was considered someone outside any social class. Now he finds himself receiving recognition, even from his own father, and hearing words of praise that once felt forever out of reach. The words, "Well done, son," echo painfully from his past, stirring memories of humiliation and being called worthless. Once despised by everyone, even scorned by God himself, now his strength is acknowledged by all. The stark contrast weighs heavily on the heart. As his eyes flutter open, he finds himself cradled gently in Iris's arms. Her gaze, filled with relief, lingers on his face while she searches for any clue to what just transpired. Immersed in contemplation, Lit dwelled on his dream of becoming like his father, yet a quiet doubt surfaced within him, wondering if he had lost his true self in the process of becoming a holy knight. The moment he realizes he is resting on the princess's lap, a flush of embarrassment surges through him, and he quickly rises to his feet. Bowing low before her, he offers a sincere apology for his disgraceful behavior. A gentle smile plays on Eris's lips as she softly confesses that, in truth, she wishes she could touch him even more. Lit tries to conceal the moment with Iris, but quickly realizes that another girl has been watching him from the very beginning. Sitting beside him, she wore a clear expression of displeasure. Attempting to ease the awkwardness, he made a clumsy joke about being watched from the start by someone truly frightening. The tension between the girls in the room steadily grew. Flustered and sweating, he shifts the conversation and gently inquires about Sarah's well-being. With renewed determination, she declares herself ready for another round. Yet Iris's gaze lingers on the burns marking her arm. The princess quickly realizes that Sarah only pretends to be fine, while in truth her condition is far more serious. Iris shares the doctor's findings. Liet suffers from severe bruises, wounds, and inflammation, and urgently needs medical care. With gentle arms wrapped around him, she tries to persuade him not to move on to the finals, insisting that he has already achieved enough. Iris gently asks him not to torment himself. He is free to refuse if that is what he wishes. Lit offers a faint smile, lost for a moment in thought. His grip tightens around her hand, a silent message of gratitude for her concern. From behind, Iris wraps her arms around him, surprised by her own boldness. Lit stands silent, uncertain of how to respond, his gaze fixed on her with a look of confusion. Memories surface of the way Iris consistently treated him with respect, regardless of his lack of status. An individual free from prejudice, she saw the person beneath every label. Genuine admiration fills his voice as he commends her for questioning the unfair class system, recognizing a shared vision in their beliefs. The bond between them grows ever stronger. Despite the pain, Lit declares with unwavering determination that he will fight until the very end. Iris gazes at him, pride and admiration lighting up her eyes as his determination reveals itself. Without a word, she hands him a small object. Lit welcomes him without a hint of hesitation. In her gesture, he senses genuine trust and sincerity. Iris offers an apology for assigning him the position of 7th-rank personal guard. The realization dawns on her that this sparked criticism. Yet, Lit reassures her that although it was unexpected, Lit embraced his knightly duties with genuine happiness. Sarah offered him words of encouragement, urging him to don his new uniform and display unwavering confidence before the final battle. Her tone shifts abruptly, edging into worry and gravity. With a serious tone, she warns that their opponent possesses extraordinary strength, urging Lit to exercise the utmost caution. Beside him, Sarah grips his hand tightly, her nerves evident in the tension of her fingers. The final stands just ahead. With vibrant energy, she beckons him forward, while Lit, captivated by her determination, silently watches. Her genuine smile radiates encouragement, lending strength to those who see it. Meanwhile, an announcement echoes through the stadium. The arena has been completely restored. The audience sits on edge, anticipation building as they await the final match. The announcement rings out, signaling the start of the decisive duel. Julius Argyle is introduced as the first finalist. Among the Eastern Knights, a sage renowned for countless victories earned through devastating magic. The audience watches in surprise as Julius remains absent from the arena, even though his name has already been announced. Suddenly, he is spotted among the stands. Reclining comfortably, he gives off an air of calm assurance, as if nothing could disturb his composure. That carefree smile arouses suspicion. Could it be overconfidence? With a light-hearted tone, the announcer playfully requests that the arena remain intact. The battle stands on the brink of eruption, and a heavy tension presses down on all sides. The announcement comes for the second finalist, celebrated for astounding everyone with a truly rare and remarkable talent. Lit steps into the arena, his confidence unwavering and focus sharpened, prepared for the defining battle ahead. From the sidelines, Sarah watches, captivated by the surge of determination radiating from him. The crowd's attention is drawn to Lita's new gear, a clear sign of her intense preparation. Anticipation rises as everyone awaits the upcoming clash with growing excitement. Wearing a confident smile, Lit strides purposefully toward his opponent. Excitement sparks in Julius's voice as he remarks that at last, something truly engaging is about to unfold. The announcer signals the beginning of the final match. Without a moment's hesitation, Julius summons his magic, unleashing the dragon's breath. Flames take the shape of a monstrous creature and sweep across the arena. The air grows hotter as Lit stands motionless in the center of a blazing ring of fire. Confusion flickers across the commentator's face, uncertain of the purpose behind this spectacle. Meanwhile, Julius maintains a focused gaze, channeling all his concentration into sustaining the spell. Iris watches with quiet composure, fully aware that he mastered this technique during that harrowing night trial. Tension steadily builds in the air. Rising to the challenge, Lit counters with a surge of power and unleashes the full force of dragon breath. The arena trembles as energy gathers into a swirling vortex. The commentator notes that this technique drains an enormous amount of mana. Clearly, Lit is putting everything on the line in a high-stakes gamble. The impact sends clouds of debris swirling through the air, while the ground quivers beneath the force. With magic fully unleashed, the oppressive pressure grows overwhelming. Several blazing dragon heads streak toward Julius in a furious assault, yet he remains perfectly composed. A smile plays on his lips as he accepts the challenge, showing not the slightest trace of hesitation. A single touch erases all magic. With a swift motion, he wipes out dragons, leaving everyone in silent astonishment. Emerging from the flames, Lit's sword burned with a sacred energy in his grasp. The fire had served as a perfect distraction, masking the real trap. Julius stands stunned for a moment, but realization quickly dawns on him as the strategy becomes clear. A sly smile creeps across his face, signaling that the true battle is only just beginning. With a fierce cry, Lit drove the sword straight into her opponent's stomach, pouring every ounce of strength into the blow. Julius's expression remains unchanged. His smile lingers, untouched. The blow seems to have left no mark. Nevertheless, the force behind the attack proved overwhelming, tearing up sections of the arena and leaving behind scorched, torn earth. The crowd erupts in shock as the commentator, astonished, announces that the blow landed cleanly. In that instant, everyone becomes convinced that Julius has been knocked down. Emerging unscathed, he steps forward, shielded by a shimmering magical barrier. The sight leaves Lit stunned. The onslaught proves utterly ineffective. Julius stands protected behind an icy barrier, a shield forged from condensed frost magic. The shield absorbs every blow without fail. Instantly withdrawing, Lit slips into a battle stance, eyes never leaving his opponent as he tracks their every movement with heightened focus. Launching forward with sudden speed, sliding across the ground and circling to Julius's flank, a quick succession of precise blows targets every unguarded opening. Every blow meets the barrier, the strikes reverberating through the ice. Cracks spider across its surface, yet it holds firm, refusing to shatter. Julius stands still, unwavering, his confidence in victory absolute. Realization settles over Lit as he understands his power is useless against this magic. The observers explain that Julius has devised a one-of-a-kind technique called the Crystal Barrier, a creation born entirely from his own brilliance. The design proved flawless, so much so that even seasoned veterans failed to break through. Doubt slowly crept into Lit's thoughts, making him question his own chances. Summoning the power of the Stone Fist, he unleashes a barrage of forceful blows from every direction. The blow lands with wild force, yet Julius stands unshaken as the barrier shields him once more. Meanwhile, Lit prepares his next move, appearing above, sword in hand, aiming precisely for a vulnerable spot. Leaping from the debris, he declares the end is near. Unleashing his fire lance, a powerful strike pierces the center of the barrier, making the entire arena tremble. Every previous strike had been nothing more than a clever ruse. Patiently, he waited for the exact instant when their defenses would falter. The spear detonates within the confines of the protective barrier, trapping the flames with no escape. Caught in the blast, Julius crumples to the ground. The judge begins the countdown. Suddenly, Julius lets out a mocking laugh and rises to his feet, tauntingly asking if the other truly believed he had won. Praise flows from him as he acknowledges Lita's impressive skill in battle, admitting he never anticipated such strength. Yet, with a hint of anticipation, he reminds her that the game has only just begun. He hints that Lit is concealing his true strength. Tension rises within Lit as cold sweat trickles down his face, his mind racing to devise a new strategy. Before the final match, during the semifinals, the blonde warrior eyed Lit with suspicion, questioning whether he truly intended to defeat Julius. The audience chuckled, thinking it was all in good fun, yet Lit responded without a moment's hesitation, revealing he already had a plan in mind. The blonde steps back, visibly stirred by Lit's words. He explains that although Lit can mimic techniques when struck, he still lacks real experience. Julius possesses a rare dual skill, allowing him to activate two techniques at the same time. According to him, matching his strength in a fair fight is impossible. Nevertheless, Lit accepts the challenge with unwavering resolve. Captain Urs steps forward and suggests a duel of skills. Should Lit claim victory, Urs will reveal his trump card. In turn, Lit will undergo rigorous training with the Royal Guard. The warriors showed no mercy, refusing to grant him even a moment's respite. Yet, Lit rose to meet their challenge without hesitation. Resolute in his decision, he prepared thoroughly for the final showdown with Julius. Stepping into the arena, he unleashed the explosive cyclone, yet Julius remained unmoved. A mocking sneer crosses his face as he scoffs at Lit's efforts, dismissing them as the best he can do. In that tense moment, realization dawns on Lit. He's made a critical mistake and let his guard down. The air crackles with mounting tension, reaching its breaking point. Magic intensifies. Despite the blow, Lit refuses to back down. A determined smile breaks across his face as he boldly declares that this isn't over yet. Sensing that Julius had yet to reveal his true strength, Lit unleashed the stone spear, determined to shift the momentum of the battle. Julius, poised and elegant, effortlessly deflected the assault. Shock floods Lit, leaving him frozen, while Julius stands serene, a slight smile on his lips, radiating an air of effortless control with every passing moment of the battle. Lit sinks to his knees, weighed down by a heavy sense of defeat. Captain Urs steps forward and restrains him, offering an explanation. To Julius, the heat of battle feels like a game, yet he doesn't hold back, wielding the full force of his magic. Victory depends on patience, waiting for the precise moment when Julius lets his guard down. Lit charges forward, aiming for a direct attack, but each strike meets the unyielding ice barrier conjured by Julius. Frustration mounting, he retreats, forced to admit that breaking through this fortress is beyond his reach. Doubt swells within the group while Julius remains an island of calm, watching events unfold without lifting a finger. Meanwhile, Lit tries to provoke him, yearning to draw Julius into a genuine fight. Doubt clouds his view of Julius's strength, and a subtle suggestion lingers that Julius fears revealing the full extent of his abilities. The words catch the attention of every onlooker. Lit watches Julius closely, tension evident in every fiber, waiting for his response. At last, the provocation hits its mark. Julius, eyes gleaming with excitement, rises eagerly to the challenge, completely unaware that he is stepping right into a trap. Lit senses that his opponent has taken the bait and calmly readies himself for the decisive move, patiently awaiting the perfect moment to strike. Julius skillfully unleashes a fusion of fire and earth magic, Muspel. A confident smile crosses his lips as he warns that the real battle is about to begin. The arena erupts with waves of excited shouts. Surging forward, a fist cloaked in flames and stone crashes down in a devastating blow. A fierce shockwave tears through the heart of the arena, making the difference in strength clear enough for even the most ardent fans to recognize. Narrowly escaping a deadly strike, Lit, wounded but eyes blazing with determination, surges skyward, steeling himself for a swift counterattack. Sensing the briefest opening as Julius lowers his guard, he strikes swiftly, yet Julius intercepts the attack with effortless grace. A confident smile plays on Julius's lips, certain in the knowledge that he anticipated everything, down to the attempt to exploit any distraction. Across from him, Lit stands stunned, the fragments of his carefully laid plans scattered in his mind. A powerful surge of energy crashes into Lit, forcing the crowd to recoil in shock. Even the guards falter, overwhelmed by the sheer force of the impact. Amid the scattered debris, Julius remains unwavering, a picture of boredom even in the wake of his victory. The commentator watches in disbelief. Suddenly from the ruins, Lit emerges and charges forward. Julius finds himself taken aback, caught off guard by this turn of events. Lit swiftly disrupts his fire and earth combo, cornering him without any chance to retreat. Julius attempts to counter with a straightforward strike, yet Lit overwhelms him at close range with a surge of powerful magic, cutting his assault short.